So
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the May 20th, 2024 Master Plan Subcommittee meeting. This is the second in our iteration series of meetings that we're going to be having to going over the different elements of the master plan that we're going to be redoing. Tonight is the environmental portion as well as the affordable housing. We have Malvika Apte here from CME, who's our professional planner. We have Robin LeBeau, who is here, who's the Township's affordable housing specialist. She's going to be presenting as well, and we can get into it.
Good evening. So, in continuation of our last meeting, tonight, as Mr. Shea mentioned, we're going to be discussing the two other elements, which is the climate vulnerability assessment element and the housing element. Now, please bear with me. I'm trying to learn this. I can't move this. No. Trying. He did it so well. Yeah. Can I bring it to you? Challenge. Thank you. Sorry about that. So, as I was saying, the climate vulnerability assessment is one of the new elements that has been required by the municipal land use law. This was introduced in 2021. Given the, recent natural disasters that have occurred in New Jersey, the state required that every municipality that is going to do a comprehensive update to their land use element should add this assessment as part of their land use element. Next slide, please. So this is similar to the last time we had the slides where we talked about, what are the different elements that are required, and one of that, a climate change related hazard vulnerability assessment is a requirement that every time a municipality does a land use plan element has to do that. Next slide, please. Next slide. So again, the state statute requires that, what do we mean by vulnerability assessment? So every municipality, based on their geography, their location, has to review what do they anticipate to be the natural disaster that may or may not affect. In case of Jackson, we assume it will be flood-prone areas. Flood issues would be one of the main item that Jackson Township would have to review against. And then the other one is possibly wildfire because of the existing woodlands in the property. What this element requires you to do is to identify, what are the threats and vulnerabilities that are impacting the municipalities, analyze, a build-out analysis. A build-out analysis would be, if over the line, as per the zoning ordinance, if the township was to develop, which are the vulnerable areas that the municipality has to review, and then recommend, what type of policy recommendations is it that the township can take in order to make it more, prepared for such kind of natural disasters. So these are the requirements that we are required to provide in the assessment report. Next slide, please. Again, this just shows some of the, in summary, that we have to identify and analyze the threats, look at the critical infrastructure for emergencies and determine the relationship of assessments with other emergency planning efforts, be it your county, be it your neighboring municipalities. You have to review that. Next slide, please. And this is where I would leave it to Ms. Lebu to talk about the housing plan and its element.
Hi. Hello, thank you, Mika. So for the housing plan, it is because of the Mount Laurel decisions. The first Mount Laurel decision in 1975, the Supreme Court ruled that every municipality in New Jersey has a constitutional obligation to provide affordable housing. This was a result of what's called exclusionary zoning, where municipalities were effectively outzoning people of lower and moderate incomes from living in towns by having large lot requirements. The second Mount Laurel decision in 1983 authorized builders' remedy lawsuits, which is, we'll talk about it a little bit later. It contemplates that builders would be able to file suit to construct affordable housing for towns that weren't necessarily complying with their obligations. The Fair Housing Act, will you go to the next slide? I'm sorry. Thank you. The Fair Housing Act was enacted in 1985 by the New Jersey legislature to increase the supply of housing in New Jersey that's available to households whose total gross annual income falls below 80% of the median income guidelines. It created COA, which was the agency that would promulgate rules for the first and second rounds of affordable housing, and the third round of rules that they created were invalidated several times, and COA eventually stopped working. And in 2015, the New Jersey Supreme Court, in a decision we call Mount Laurel 4, turned the affordable housing to the courts. And all the municipalities, including Jackson, had to file a declaratory judgment action with the Superior Court in order to have our housing plans deemed compliant and that the town was meeting their constitutional obligation. Let me see where we are in slides. So in order for the town to figure out what their obligation was, we first had to figure out what methodology we would use, and all of the counties were going to different judges. Jackson Township, we were in Ocean County, and actually Jackson did start to have a methodology trial to figure out exactly how we were going to figure out what our number would be. Eventually, Jackson did settle with Fair Share Housing Center. There was a decision in another county in New Jersey where a methodology was adopted, and that methodology is going to be the baseline for figuring out what towns' obligations are going to be for the fourth round, which is the period from 2025 to 2035. So for the fourth round, we don't know what our number is going to be yet. It will be determined by the Jacobson formula. And if we go to the next slide, this just is a sample of what the income guidelines are for people, because some people are like, who qualifies for affordable housing? So for an individual, the number in red, the 91,000, that is the median income for an individual in New Jersey. And then the 72,830 number, that is the qualifying moderate income for an individual. So an individual making that amount, and between that amount and the 45,000 would qualify as a moderate income household and be eligible for affordable housing in Monmouth, Mercer, and Ocean counties. And the next number, the 45,000, that is the low income. And then the 27,000 is what we call a very low income household. So these are the people who are qualifying as an individual. And then we also have a family of two. The median income in New Jersey is 104,000, and a family of four is 130,000. So if you have a family of four and their total annual household income is around 104,000, they would qualify for affordable housing. And in order to get into affordable housing, be it rental or owner, you have to have a demonstrated income. This is not a subsidy program. It's not Section 8. These are households that are making and can demonstrate that they're able to make this income, and they would be able to get into these homes. So it's people, it's your neighbors, it's people who live in Jackson Township who just can't afford what the market is providing right now. So next slide, please. So our prior round number in Jackson, that's the first and second rounds, was 1,247 units. The third round was 1,250. The fourth round, we're expecting to be around the same number, but we haven't quite figured it out yet. Next slide, please.
there's new legislation that the legislature has adopted this year, and it has hard deadlines that we're going to have to meet in order to determine what our number is going to be. We have to adopt housing element and fair share plan, and we have to adopt the implementing ordinances, and that's what the process we're in right now. So what the township officials will do with the planner is figure out where in town these units can go. And we have to find vacant land or land that can be converted from uses that aren't necessarily well-suited, such as vacant commercial or industrial lands. And we can actually, it makes it new units for affordable housing, and also you can get bonus credits. So for every unit of commercial that's converted into residential, you also get a bonus credit that can be counted as a half credit for a unit. And there's a couple bonuses like that, such as you get a half credit for senior housing, a half credit for each unit of 3-bedroom housing above the minimum required for that development, and half credits for units that have affordability controls that are extended. Say we had a development that was a rental and it was restricted for 30 years, then the owners agree to restrict it for another 30 years. We can also get bonus credits for that. And the failure to meet any of the deadlines that are set forth in the legislation will result in the town losing immunity. If you go to the next slide, that is what we call a builder's remedy. So if we lose our immunity because we don't come up with a number in time, or the number is challenged, or if we don't adopt the housing element in time, or if our ordinance, or if we do everything that we're supposed to do, but then we have people coming in for developments that are in the plan and for some reason not getting approved, we could lose the immunity. And when you lose immunity, the builder's remedy, the builders are able to come in and apply to the court. And they say, I have this land, the town will let me do what I want with it, and the court may grant them permission to build whatever they want, and they can get density bonuses, they can put more units in there than we've approved. You really lose control over your development. So the housing element master plan is, together with the whole master plan, is how we're going to direct the development of our town. And that's basically it, if anyone has any questions.
So ultimately, these are the two elements we wanted to introduce to you and just, bring up to light. This will be other two elements we will be reviewing. And that's it. So I'll leave it to Mr. Shea to talk about, where they can leave their comments on the website.
All right. As we talked about before, we have the website. It's a subsidiary of the Planning Board website. You can go there, you can leave whatever comments you want. You don't have to necessarily speak here. You don't have to leave any comments here or anything like that. You can have every opportunity of going home or do it on a day off, or anybody who's watching this right now has the ability of going online and making any suggestion or comments, not only about what we're talking about tonight, but also at the prior meeting that we had regarding the land use element and the other aspects that we were talking about as well. It's very easy, it's very accessible. You can leave a comment and it gets back to the subcommittee. And believe me, we take everything into consideration because it's much appreciated to have personal knowledge on a lot of the things that you guys are living through that we don't necessarily know about until the public tells us. That's why we're here. We're here to do the right thing. So right now, we're going to leave it up to you, the members that showed up. And again, this is for you guys. This is to make sure that you let us know your personal information, maybe on some zones that you've had a chance to live in, some areas that you've lived in or dealt with or work in or something that you have a personal nature and knowledge of that you think would benefit us knowing about regarding the elements that we're talking about tonight. So again, affordable housing. And we're going to limit it to 5 minutes on the subjects that we're talking about, just so we don't get into a situation where we're talking about irrelevant stuff. All right, so anybody want to come up?
Dr. Campbell, could I just ask one question just for Ms. LeBou, just to clarify for the public and for myself also. Is the town, have we fulfilled all of our obligations in the past rounds? And can we just speak to that? Meaning when people see all the development currently in town, have we done what we're supposed to have done in the past, or are there still units that are pending and credits that are pending?
We planned appropriately for all of the prior rounds, we submitted a plan that was approved by the court, and we received a judgment of repose. Not everything is built. So one part of this process is to take a look at everything that was planned for, take a look at everything, have they been built? Are they still actually going to be built? And whether or not, new things need to be proposed to fill those holes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, come forward, please.
I see a big binder.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ryan Archer.
All right, please raise your right hand.
I apologize.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please say your name, spell your last for the record.
Sure. Ryan Archer, A-R-C-H-E-R.
All right.
486 Frank Applegate Road.
Beautiful.
I just have a question about the start time for the meetings, and I have a request. A large population of my neighborhood wasn't able to make it because of the early time frame. I don't think it's feasible with something of this importance to have it at a time where most people can't make because they're still working. So I strongly request that you change the time of these hearings to a later time frame so that we can have more people attend to them. So I think it's a little, and people that are still working can't go on the internet and attend these meetings because they're on the clock still or traveling. So I think this is a little absurd. I apologize for being a little bit antsy here, but I just think it's not correct.
So let's just put that on the record just so everybody is clear. So when we put these things together, we took a look at like 7 different overlaying factors, schedules, everything. I mean, going all the way to different days in which this room was open and when everybody was going to be available. This, in all honesty, was the only time that we were able to get everybody together to be able to do this.
Do you feel that's fair to the public, though, sir?
With that being said, well, so let me just address it for 2 reasons. Number one, this is an optional thing. So we're doing this to benefit everybody in the town. And we don't have to do this. By doing this, we're going above and beyond what is normally done in any other town. If you go to any other town whatsoever and they do a master plan review, they never do anything like this, ever.
Understood.
So given that, we thought it was better to be more transparent, to have some kind of meeting like this, but not just this meeting, but have multiple steps along the way. But we were restricted by all being available at a certain specific time to be able to get this done. Now, we knew that, which is why we also put the website up to give people more of an access. And also, this is being, you can view this on YouTube. So anybody can leave messages on there. I believe if the chat.
I don't think you can leave a message on
Or
YouTube, but you can leave it on the
look at
website.
it.
Sure,
You
yeah,
can
I don't
review
think
it,
it would be
yeah.
appropriate to leave a message on
Yeah, I
social media.
wasn't sure if the chat
Okay.
function
So
was.
can I ask what the last meeting was about? Because I wasn't even aware of it.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
fine. Last meeting was the land use element, and
Okay.
It was on the 6th of May.
Yeah, I know, I came to the...
We're
I'm
doing
sorry.
4 meetings. We have 2 meetings a month.
Okay.
The 6th of May, the 20th May.
Okay.
Then we'll have 2 meetings in June, the 1st and 3rd Mondays. We're giving 2 elements at each hearing.
Understood.
People can also go on the website and watch look at the PowerPoint, look
Yep.
at all the maps we have there.
Sure.
We're trying to make it as transparent as
Sure.
possible, given this building is used frequently. We're all on several committees.
Understood.
And we have professionals here who have to fit it in, 3 professionals who have to fit it into their schedules.
Understood.
So we've done our best to make it, to give the residents, and most of us are residents,
Sure.
the opportunity. Plus, we've put on the website, if you go into the search up on the top right, type in master plan ideas, you can put your idea there. Now,
Oh, I
some
apologize.
people have complained to me that there are only 50 characters.
Yeah.
I don't care if you post 10 times, but I don't want to read a manifesto here.
Is that
you know?
viewed to the public or just you, the inquiry?
It comes to the committee.
Okay.
I read over every comment. I have not deleted any comment.
Understood.
But remember, this township has been sued in the past.
Well, that's at the fault of the township. I
and
mean,
frankly,
it's clearly the government's fault, so.
The township attorney was not pleased that we were holding these meetings because it opened opened us to criticism. So we
Well,
are.
constructive criticism is appropriate.
We don't mind constructive criticism,
Understood.
but we have to be very careful based on our litigation
Sure.
past
Well,
about.
anybody does this nowadays, so, I mean.
About
you
what
could say
people
that-
say.
Sure, you can
So-
say that about average citizens. in
So
the
here
same
we are.
token.
We're trying to do our best. We're at least
Sure.
doing something.
Yes, and we appreciate that, we do.
And come late fall, there will be a very large township meeting in a
Okay.
very large venue to discuss what, we have not written word one yet. We're listening
Sure,
first.
sure.
So this is a long process.
It is a long
This is a year
process.
process. So please have patience with us. We're doing our best. Anything else you need
Well,
to
are we
say?
allowed to talk about inquiries about the first meeting now, or is that over with?
No, that's over because we're trying to address
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
If at the end, before 6 o'clock, if at the end you need to ask another question, then we'll entertain that.
I'll come back then.
That
Thank
sound
you.
okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, please. If you come and line up quickly, we can listen to you. Mr. Brezzi, who've lived here for a long, long time. Maybe almost as long as I've lived here, Mr. Brezzi.
Who are you?
Kenneth Bressy, 462 Diamond Road.
You swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
Mr. LeBeau, you mentioned about builders' remedies. And I think for the edification of the audience, and even some board members that may have been not involved with that stuff, the impact it has. And I know that someone in your firm years ago researched for me the results of all the builders' remedies in Jersey, and the builders won all of them. And I think you could explain what happens to the zoning that's in place and what a builder's remedy could do to that by ignoring it. And explain if we don't have a plan by the due date and builder remedies come in, that the court 90% of the time approves them and the damage it could do to your planning. That's all, thank you.
That's true. No, they will. You lose all control over the zoning, and the courts take this very seriously. You lose immunity, which means it's not just the one builder who can come to court, but any builder. You know, that judgment of repose that we have is only good until 2025. And if we lose immunity, then they can find any parcel of land and build it out completely beyond what we would envision in Jackson Township. And that's something that's very important to keep. So we have to keep the deadlines, and it's important to get everyone's input, because, you know, the board and the citizens know Jackson Township and know what's going to be appropriate for Jackson Township. So that's why we're holding these. Let us know where you think it would be appropriate.
Come forward, please. If you have something to say, I'd suggest being next, be close. Thank you.
All right. Oh,
Good evening. Michelle Wary,
Yep.
751 Hyson Road.
all right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
All right. Laura, did you get that?
Wary, W-H-A-R-Y. I'm a 31-year resident at that address. Just a few thoughts that I'm coming to the table with tonight. I'm concerned about the road infrastructure when you start to factor in density housing. Yes.
Maybe if we hear what our next two meetings are about, that would help you. We're limiting tonight's conversation to climate change vulnerability and the housing element.
Yeah.
Well, I missed the climate change, and I would
No,
laugh
that's-
at that
that's here.
anyway.
That's tonight.
But that's
That's
just me
tonight.
talking out loud.
Just a second. That's tonight. We have two more meetings in June.
Understood. You explained
So
that, and I
would you
wrote
just
that down.
explain?
Well,
Malvika's going to tell you what the next two meetings are on, so that you're prepared for what's coming next.
yeah, we have one
I am
that's
prepared for
specific.
what comes next,
One
both
that's
of you.
specific to
Trust me.
traffic. Yeah.
Trust me. Proximity
Wait,
to schools.
excuse me.
Hang on.
Excuse me. Let
Oh,
Malvika let you
sorry.
know what's coming next and when.
I just want to put it
I
on.
also want to know whether it's going to be proximate to schools.
Just a second.
So on June 3rd, we're going to discuss the circulation and the utility elements. Circulation has to do with your road infrastructure. We'll just be talking about what the plan would increase, what the element would have, and then listen to your ideas on that. Utility would be your infrastructures, such as your, sewer service areas, your utility areas.
I'm off the
water.
grid, but I am concerned with others.
So that's what that element would be about. And then June 17th, we'll be talking about the economic development plan element. which is another element of your master plan, which talks about, what economic development the township wants to see within the community, whether it's commercial, whether it's such kind of, these are the two elements that will be covered in the next two meetings.
Well, are we looking at a 10% increase or a three-unit increase, based upon the difference between the first two iterations? Went from, what, 1247 to 1250, was it going to go to 1253? I mean, is it going to go to, 1300?
Are you talking about the affordable housing?
Number of units, yes.
There is typically, and there will be a 1,000-unit cap.
1,000 units, so it could go
1,000
as
unit
high as 1,350.
Well, the prior rounds were, this is a 10-year round. The first two rounds were longer than that. Rounds 1 and 2 were combined 1247, and then round 3, because
Was it an additional 1,250 or just 3 more?
that was an additional 1250.
Okay,
These are new units per round.
Okay.
That they're expecting.
and proximity to schools, my concern is drug issues and weed smells being close to schools. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. Anyone else with questions? We can't put in what you want if you don't tell us what you're interested in. So that's why we are holding these meetings, so that we can hear what you have in mind.
And that's okay, we'll address that in a sec. So just to be clear, so right now, and we'll get to your point in a sec, right now what we're doing is that if there's any areas that you guys have personal knowledge about, concerns about, want addressed regarding environmental issues, regarding affordable housing issues, now would be the time to come up and talk about that. And for anybody at home who's watching this, if you have any situations like that, personal experiences like that, if you want to go to the website and put that in the section to keep us updated with your opinions and recommendations and everything like that, we would be more than welcome to that as well. The whole point of this is for you guys, is for the public, so that when we're putting this together, we know what you know. And we don't know what you know until we know what you've lived. And we don't know what you lived until you guys tell us. That's the whole point of us doing this and kind of going above and beyond to hold these things for everybody in town. So that's where we're at right now. So anybody, just on these two, just on the environmental and the affordable housing, anybody else want to come up and talk about it? All right, so seeing no one, nobody else has anything with environmental or affordable? All right, so right now, anybody who wants to come up and talk about the land use element, what we talked about in the last meeting, second bite at the apple, you want to come up and give us any personal knowledge, recommendations, opinions, anything like that?
Good evening. Ryan Archer again.
I hope you're not going to go through the whole binder.
Well, the binder, it comes back from a history of 11 years ago, so I'm going
Gotcha.
to let that go for now,
All right.
depending on where the conversation went.
All right, we already swore you in, so you're good.
Yes, so the document I have in my hand that was prepared by Remington and Verdict, the general amendment of the master plan dated October 5th, 2023, is that a relevant document in regards to what is being discussed as far as the master plan? It's just pulled off the website.
What are you looking at?
It's a general amendment of the master plan, Jackson Township. It was prepared by Remington.
Okay, so
Yeah, so
Right.
a couple questions regarding that.
So this, this is not, so the whole point of what we're doing here is to get personal knowledge and feedback on your own areas.
Absolutely, and this is about my neighborhood. So this.
Oh, okay, so if you
it
want
is
to talk about
relevant.
yeah, that's
So
fine.
some of the
that's fine.
objectives here, I just want to confirm that the objectives are appropriate and it's the focus of this planning board's attention. The objective to provide for limited non-residential development in residential zones while protecting the distinct character of neighborhoods. Is that correct? Is that an objective of this planning board?
Of that plan?
Of our master plan, the one that's getting through now.
If it's stated there, then
It is stated here.
that's what it is. Yeah.
On page 2.
Yeah.
So we, just so So we are reviewing the, the previous master plans
Right.
and the
Okay.
goals and objectives from 2009
But this
onwards
is an
till
amendment, right? Okay.
2023.
So-
We'll be reviewing that.
Okay.
And as part of this element, we will be preparing a new list of goals and objectives.
Sure, understood.
Which is
Yeah.
going to be based on all the previous ones.
Yeah,
So your
okay.
goals and objectives are not completely going
Sure.
to change.
Okay.
But, there's going to be discussions. on
Yeah,
that.
the housing plan element will result in a stable and diverse future population. Does that sound correct? What I'm reading here? To protect the integrity of existing residential neighborhoods by ensuring that any new infill or adjacent development is compatible and well buffered. Does that sound like an objective of the planning board in this master plan? I'm just
It's-
asking
It's what-
subjectively, not
That's
aggressively.
that's what the
So-
planning board does now.
Okay, I'm just making sure, I just want to put
That's
it out
why
there.
I'm saying
Okay,
it.
so as I mentioned to you, I have a group of people here from Frank Applegate Road.
Sure.
The whole length of Frank Applegate Road is listed in this general amendment to be possible zoning overlay. Okay. Right now, There's a-
Can you, wait, just to set the playing field, can you
Yeah.
tell us what zone are you guys in?
Frank Applegate between Bennett's Mills and Jackson Mills Road.
Are you guys residential zone like R5 or?
R3 right now.
R3?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're asking, I guess there was a settlement that's going to possibly allow a zone overlay
Right,
for other than residential units.
right.
I won't get into all that, language. Right now, our road's about 2.5 miles long. There's approximately 143 residential homes on that street. 66% of those homes are between 1,500 and 2,500 square feet, so small-size homes. Right now, there's approximately 4 to 6 non-developed plots of land that are owned by either a real estate company or a property company per se. Does this overlay only apply to open parcels of land, or does it apply to existing residential homes also? So can a 1,500 square foot home be rezoned?
So this is, I think we're getting a little confused as to why we're here. So
Okay.
something like this, you want to address that to the township planner. All right, so this is either you
I
want
was
to
denied that,
contact.
though.
Well, either you want to contact the zoning officer.
Okay.
Or you want to contact the township planner and address those concerns. So this isn't kind of like a question-answer type thing. This is your concern. So if you, let me put it this way. If you're looking at that and you have concern with where you live and you say, okay, I don't want the overlay zone here.
I'm not
or-
I'm not saying I don't want the overlay zone. I'm just asking, does it apply to open parcels of land or to the entire street, is what I'm asking. It's a pretty cut and dry answer. I mean.
So what an overlay is, all right, is kind of what it sounds like. It's literally, you take it, you plop it over a certain section of a map, and that's what's allowed, right, pursuant to the ordinance.
Two existing structures also.
So I think
That's what I'm
we're-
asking. I'm just asking that question.
Can I,
Yeah, I think we're getting a little,
But,
if you give me that, I've been authorized, I can take a look at it and give you an answer.
okay.
So,
Yeah, your document, I can hand it to you, whatever you want to do, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get an answer from my neighbors so I can explain to them correctly what the document means and give an idea about the master plan.
right.
Dr. Campbell, if I could add also, if you reach out, obviously to Mrs. Lebu, but if you reach out after via email, we can get you answers. You're asking aren't pertaining to tonight's specific, but we want to give you the answer to your question.
Well, just so I can understand what the zone overlay means and how it's
Sure.
part of this master plan. I mean,
card
yeah,
and email me.
Okay.
And I'll give you an opinion.
To kind of confirm, the master plan is like a policy document that will make the recommendation. The ordinance language, the way it's written, is what's going to tell you whether the overlay zone is for all the parcels
Understood.
or specific sections.
I just don't-
So we can
okay.
look at the text and exactly see.
Okay.
The ordinance is what's adopted by the governing body.
Understood.
And becomes the rule
Yep.
or the zoning districts of the
understood.
property.
But this was, I'm just confirming that this was a document that when I handed to you by a professional engineer hired by the township, correct?
Yes,
And those objectives were put in there, correct?
In October, yeah.
yes.
Okay, that's all. That's all I'm asking. I want to be able to go back to my neighborhood, explain to them what the potential impact is of the master plan, so they can either come to the meetings or not, or watch it on the internet, but it's hard to explain to somebody when there's varying documents and they go on to the website and they're overwhelmed by just maps and maps and maps, where I go door to door and I can explain to them in layman's terms
Yeah.
what the actual potential impact is to their neighborhood. So some people don't understand all the maps and all the language. So for me, I've been through this before with the planning, zoning, and town council, like I said, 11 years ago, and I had to explain it to people in a more appropriate language so they can understand the potential impact to their neighborhood. That's all.
And again, you understand, these things are written on paper. They're not written on stone. So things change. As the township changes and the needs of the residents change, things change. But we don't make that determination. Those determinations are made through ordinance, and that's made through the town council,
Understood.
not through the planning
But the
board.
basic objective should be the same. I mean, it's not language that affected by zoning, variances. The language is pretty simple, and I would
One
assume that
hopes.
would stay the same. So, I mean, it's kind of a little bit contradictory in that statement.
Yeah, so the goals and objectives, and Malvika can explain this further, but it's kind of like a foundational guidance document. They're not written in stone. They're more of a guidepost as to how the governing body should create the ordinances, and there's exceptions to everything. Right?
Understood.
So, if you
Yeah,
want to,
Yeah, like I
If I-
said, I'll do the emails. I just want to make sure I have the right,
Yeah.
and I just need to respond so I can go to the neighbors. Furthermore, there's a lot of concerns with the time frame of the master plan, that the master plan is not, let's say the development process is going a lot faster than you guys are preparing a master plan, and we believe that the township's going to fall way behind with infrastructure improvements, pedestrian corridor improvements, and we're going to, with incidences occurring, unfortunate incidents, because of the lack of knowledge of the increase of population of pedestrian traffic and the outdated intersections that we have in this town,
Yep.
like blinking lights at major intersections. To us, this township's not prepared for the influx of people that are coming. And you guys are going to fall way behind because the county, oh, this is a county road. Oh, this is a township road. Oh, the county's going to handle it. I was here at the last planning board. We had an application get approved for a warehouse. I had nothing to do with that warehouse. The gentleman came up, he said, that's going to flood the county road. And the statement was, well, the county will handle it. And I've been through personal experiences between a county and a township when I was on a county road where someone dumped shavings on Diamond Road on the curve, and I called our local township, and they told me to call the county. I stood out there for 2.5 hours directing traffic because nobody came out to stop the traffic. So I know what's happening here with the county and the township not coordinating their efforts, and I feel that you guys are going to fall way behind the time frame that you need to be to make this town safe. And let me tell you something. Everybody has the right to live wherever they want. But you guys need to pick up the pace a little bit and make the infrastructure improvements, make it safer for pedestrian traffic,
Sir,
and increase the lighting.
if you could allow answers
So-
to your
Sure,
comments.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Archer, very valid concerns, and thank you for bringing up. So, a couple of things I just want to clarify. So, the vision, goals, and objectives is what will get put in the master plan. What that helps a township is it kind of provides and solidifies what is it that the municipality wants from
Sure.
their vision, the final vision, whether it's preservation of open space, whether it's looking at diverse housing, all that gets put into the policy recommendation, the goals.
Understood.
That's the stepping stone to finally give a direct objective to the town council, to this planning board subcommittee, to kind of look forward as to what is it that the vision of the plans, any kind of plans that are coming in. That will be the bedrock that will help you assemble the ordinance moving forward, which
Sure.
is going to be the rules and regulations for land use development within your municipality. Then going back to the circulation plan element, that is also going to be part of this land use element.
Like you said,
which is
understood.
going to be study of your roads, study of their levels of service, and it is going to require us to discuss, actually bring county to the table and discuss with them, hey, this is what the township infrastructure is. Our last master plan was done in 2009. This is where we think our infrastructure needs to be updated. What is it that the county can do for us, and, vice versa? What is it that we want to? So that's why this
Yeah.
process is very important.
Understood.
Going back to, your point, you want to make your neighbors aware. That's why this document is very important, which is the policy guide document, which is going to help your council to go forward, make those rules, go for grants, go for, get all these infrastructure improvements, have that discussion with the county to update the infrastructures, to update your utility infrastructures. So that's why this master plan step is very important.
Understood.
And just so you're aware, so the infrastructure, I think the infrastructure and traffic are two of the biggest ones, right? Because
Absolutely.
that impacts everybody, everything in the township. So one of the reasons why this is happening now is due to the fact that the township has not reevaluated the road system since the last master plan. You can really only do that during each master plan. So what happens is that right now, we're going to be reevaluating in the traffic section. We're not even there yet, right? The tier system of the roadways. What that's going to do is that's going to reevaluate our ability of asking for assistance at the county and the state level. So,
Understood.
So if, let's say one of the roads is a minor road, right? But it's not really minor anymore because it was minor back in 2009 when the master plan, originally happened. Now, 10 years later, 15 years later, something to that effect, it's major, and it happened relatively quickly, or it happened gradually, whatever the case may be. But now there's a lot of traffic on it. What happens is because the way it was identified hasn't changed, that kind of puts handcuffs on the township's ability to ask for help with it.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is to free up the handcuffs, get us out of, free up the handcuffs and allow us access to different.
I just feel that in this case, the horse and the trailer's driving the horse here because we're so far behind that.
So,
But
The
there's,
influx of pedestrian traffic is here already.
Right.
And it's becoming a hazard.
but this is the
But
first
it's
step.
too far away. You guys, it's a year away. We have a problem now. My street is 13,400 linear feet long. We're missing 5,120 linear feet of sidewalks. Out of that 1,020 linear feet, the most dangerous curves don't have sidewalks. We have a 9-inch shoulder. We have families walking on a 9-inch shoulder with no street lighting in the dark. So
Well, this is
eventually,
exactly
I'm sorry.
what we need to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, Frank Applegate Road, no sidewalks, poor lighting conditions. Those are the things we're looking to hear.
This is why we're
So that we
here.
can put that into the mix. We are meeting with the county engineers for circulation. We're meeting with them. This body is meeting
I
with
understand
them
that.
specifically. We can't give them information if the residents don't give us. I've already given them information on
But
every
this is a
street I know.
town-wide problem right now. This isn't
I-
restricted to one street.
I understand, but one of the things that used to be allowed was no sidewalks. If you come to planning board meetings, you will notice we insist upon sidewalks. That is a thing that we may be able to put into the master plan to say any residential development will include sidewalks.
But then we have all the infills. We
Well-
have nature areas. We have
We
township-owned property.
understand, but we can only do what we can do and what we're
Well,
allowed
to
to
me,
do.
that opens the town to litigation. In my eyes, my personal eyes, if someone gets hit by a car with an inadequate shoulder and inadequate lighting, you can't blame the driver for that. You can't, because the shoulder's not wide enough for people to walk on. It's a township-wide problem. I have to warn my sons every time they go out, please be careful. There's people walking on the shoulders of back roads and everything else. The infrastructure should come first, not after the applications are approved. The infrastructure should be here already. The township should have forecasted the influx of people into this town 5 years ago and been proactive, not reactive to the situation. That's the issue. And it's a sad
All we
sight.
can say is that what we're doing here is the beginning of a process that's going to help that. And that's the whole point. That's why we're doing this. So this process itself maybe will be the beginning to help any situations that you have like that. But we need to know the individual situations that you're talking about. So if you have locations, if you have areas, and all the stuff that you're talking about is good stuff. That's the stuff that we need to hear. That's the stuff that we want to hear. Any areas that are a danger, any zones that you think
you're approving
may be more
applications.
hazardous or dangerous than,
You're approving applications without having the infrastructure in place.
No, we are making every effort not to do that.
it's,
But it's happening.
We have constraints. We have legal constraints. We can approve what we can approve legally, but we can't make new laws. That's not our role.
Well, someone's got to handle this
Dr.
because
Well,
the
I would-
township's changing,
Right, and-
and someone's got to keep up with the
The
times.
township committee
Dr.
can
Campbell,
handle it.
could I just add in one thing?
Yes, sir.
I can say I'm the council representative over
Sure.
here. There has been multiple conversations with the county because of what you said. We are 5 years behind.
Absolutely.
No one on this board, no one on the governing body doubts that. There have been multiple conversations in person. Like the chairwoman said, we are bringing the county engineers, both of them, down here to a meeting. Part of the reason why we're doing this is because we've been begging them, what's with our roads, what's with our infrastructure, and their attitude has been, we don't know where your development is. So instead of saying where development was, we're telling them where we perceive it being. But we need obviously what the residents are saying, but we need our residents to help us, by coming here and by being engaged on the county level also, because the more noise we make as a town, the better chance we have of getting our fair share. And
Yeah.
I'm going to say this publicly, Jackson has not gotten its fair share, or we can do better, and that's
We
what
can
we're
do
here.
much better.
And
We
that's
have
what we're here
inadequate
doing.
intersections, we have inadequate traffic flow, and we have inadequate pedestrian access. It's going to result in an unfortunate accident in the future because
I
you
completely
cannot foresee. People are driving at a higher rate of speed on the average. People are not paying attention. I had an incident yesterday right down the street from my house. She was doing 20 miles over the speed limit and lost control of the car and took out people's 2 front yards.
Right.
That's a spot with no sidewalks, where people walk on the shoulder. That could have been a family of 4 walking on there. That could be gone today.
right.
So-
I'll say one more thing before we just want to make sure there's nobody else in the room that wants to
Understood.
come up and speak. So when it comes down to the different roadway systems, just so you're aware, there's different departments and different jurisdictions for different things that you need to, that you have to go to tell your concerns to. So one of the ones that the township doesn't have any ability over is the county roads that are in the township. So the proper forum for that, and everything you're saying is legitimate, right? But you may want to go to the county department, the county road department when they have a hearing, or the county freeholder meeting when they have a meeting, and address the concerns there. Because what happens is that you'll be addressing directly the people that handle the infrastructure for that roadway system. Even though it's in our township, it's a county road.
And I appreciate the directive.
Yeah,
My
so,
thing
and
is,
just because
I understand.
Yeah.
We put you guys in charge of the township. We're all working people like everybody here. We only have so much time on our hands.
Right.
To attend so many meetings. Between the township meetings, other obligations, we're going to leave that in your hands, and that's where we're going to leave it.
Understood.
Because you
So-
guys were
sometimes-
elected officials, and this is your town just as much as our town. We have a problem in this town.
All I'm
It's-
saying.
It's not going to get better.
Right, so
and
all
I'll leave it at
I'm
that.
saying is that that's another avenue for you to go to if you want to have a conversation with somebody who has direct access to that type of roadway system. It would be the freeholder.
Let me give you a
board
perfect,
meeting.
apologies. One perfect example.
Some people don't realize it, that's why I'm bringing it up to
We
you.
just did Glory's
Right.
intersection over, right? Beautiful. There's no committed left turn lane. There's no committed right turn lane going north on 527. That's inadequate. That was just redone 6 months ago. Someone's not doing their job. We have a light between Jackson Mills and 527. It's been there as long as I lived there. It's a temporary light. There's no right turn lane to go 527 north. People drive through the mud illegally to go on the highway. That's where I'll leave it. Thank you for your time.
You got it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right,
Hi.
please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, and please say your name, spell your last for the record.
Donnie Edelman, Adelman, 206 Willow Point. I'm not really sure what transpired so far because unfortunately I was a little late getting to this meeting. But I would like to say everything that gentleman that he just said is correct. All right. There's a major failing in this town when there's road work that is intermingled with the county. Let me give you, for instance, because it's something that's been very dangerous and near dear to my heart for 9 years.
Excuse me, sir. It maybe would help if you had heard that we will be discussing road circulation at our next meeting when we'll have available maps, et cetera, and that would be the appropriate time. Tonight, we are discussing climate change vulnerability assessment and the housing assessment and the affordable housing. Those are
Okay.
the topics for tonight.
Okay,
please.
well, all right, well, as far as the affordable housing is concerned, we need more of it. When we build it, I would like, hopefully the town meets or exceeds its obligation as far as what the state, COA or whatever
Ms.
guideline.
LeBeau already discussed that, sir, and we are meeting that assessment.
Okay, well, I hope you exceed
Thank
it.
you.
But another concern is with that meeting of that number, that it's not turned into a senior-only development. A lot of towns around here have a tendency to build these developments to meet their obligation.
Excuse me
And
again.
they turn it at 55
I'd
and
like
over.
to move the slide presentation forward to show you the 3 forms of housing that we are accepting at this point. Anthony, if you can move those to the bar graph. Little down farther, down farther, that's one, that's the one. If you will see that there are 3 types of housing on 3 types of income levels, and among those 3 types of income levels, there are individual, family of 2, family of 4. We're addressing all those, and if you had heard Ms. LeBeau's excellent presentation on what we're doing, what Jackson is doing with affordable housing, I think you would hear that we are well compliant and doing a very good job on
No,
this.
that's very good. Is this presentation available anywhere online?
Yes, it's on the website, sir. If
Okay.
you would go into, if you would go on the landing page and go onto the top right corner where the little magnifying glass is, you type in master plan. There are master plan maps, master plan, there are 2 PowerPoints now. There's all kinds of information there, and there is a place there to put your ideas.
Okay, and then with that, again, with meeting that number and using your different breakdown of the different types of people that we're essentially going after, is there going to be a mix of rentals and low-income or affordable properties for sale?
Yes. Yes.
That's
And-
it.
And also, there's a cap on the amount that can be made available to seniors, just 30%. So 70% that's the maximum of all the units that can be age restricted. The rest will be available to people of all ages.
Awesome.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else have anything to add? Questions?
Good to see you again, Mr. Allen.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Areas that you're concerned about? Roads of specific nature that you're concerned about, that you live on and you think need attention? This is what we're doing. We're meeting with the county so that we can say, the level of this road has changed to this level and it needs this attention, or we need a light at this intersection because of recent growth in that area. Anyone have any specific areas they'd like to give us? We're going to give you 5 more minutes. Yes, sir, please come forward. Thank you.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I swear.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
My name is Harlan Drakes, last name Drakes.
And your address?
All right, I lived on Anderson Road,
Oh, your address?
651 Anderson Road, Jackson, New Jersey. I live on Anderson Road, right by the corner of 571. I know that's a county road, but with Anderson Road, I've seen several incidents of fully loaded semi-trucks trying to turn down Anderson Road. There's no warnings to tell them that they're not supposed to there. And the bridge, literally on the edge of Anderson Road, it only has a limit of 4 tons. So my worry is that one of these days that there's going to be a semi-truck going to ignore all those warnings and turn down Anderson Road.
Is there a sign at the end of
There's no
Anderson?
sign, nothing.
Okay, maybe
There's
we can.
been multiple incidents of semi-trucks literally trying to turn down Anderson Road.
We can ask the township, we have a township council member here. We can ask the township
There's
perhaps?
also been an incident of a semi-truck leaving Anderson Road, so that means he ignored one of the signs. They literally came down to my aunt's property. I was home at the time.
So it
That's
sounds,
going to
it
Jackson
sounds like you're
Mills.
missing signage, right?
Yes.
So
missing
after,
signage.
when we're done in like,
Because he has a gas line right in front of our house.
Right, so
here,
when
and
we're-
the truck literally drove
when
on
we're
top of
done,
the
when
gas
we're
line.
done over here, I will give you my email address, and you can send me an email tomorrow, and I will forward it to the appropriate department, because there should be signage the way you're describing
Because
it.
literally, they're ignoring the signage. I don't know if it's not properly lit or they're just not caring at all. Because
Well,
there's
then
literally a
if
sign
there's
that
no
says
sign, they
there's 4
can't,
tons.
they can't ignore what's not there.
Yeah.
Well,
So
there's a
let's make
sign at the
sure,
end of Anderson Road that says no exceeding of 4 tons. So I don't know if they're
So
ignoring
that's a
that.
police department issue then?
What's
So
the
we
name of the
could be-
road?
I can coordinate with, we can forward your complaint
Anderson
to the
and
police.
Jackson Mills Road?
I live on Anderson Road, right by 571, and
Right.
also the other end of Anderson Road, which is connected to the highway, also that
Correct.
end there.
Okay,
So it's whole of
we'll,
Anderson
we'll
Road.
look
we've
into
been
that. Thank you very
experiencing
much.
this. All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. Anyone else have a specific location? Thank you.
Long time no see.
Ed Bannon from 22 Abercorn Court.
All right, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
In response to this gentleman's comment, most of your problems are because the GPS tells you to drive that route. It's got to be something to do with the GPS that's going to bump them on somewhere, some way, some shape or form to another direction, because GPS tells somebody to turn right, they're going to turn right. I don't know how else to address it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We really appreciate this sharing. You don't know how important this is to our process. Thank you very much.
I live at the same,
You have to be sworn in, ma'am.
oh, sorry,
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
so help me God.
And
If you
bring
can
the
get-
microphone
Yeah,
down,
closer to
please.
the microphone.
Thank you.
My name is Donna Drakes, Drakes, Donna. I live at same address, 651 Anderson Road. I have a handicap due to some medical problems, and I try to walk in the afternoons or in the mornings, and there are twigs and all sorts of obstacles that hinders me from doing so. I don't know who is responsible for taking care of that area.
You may want to reach out to code enforcement.
Reach out to who?
Code
You
enforcement.
may want to reach out to code enforcement to see if maybe it's a code violation that maybe somebody's putting stuff out there that they shouldn't be.
No, the trees are on the parapet close to the road, and they've broken and fall down there. Somebody's responsible for cleaning that up.
Are they on public property or private property?
That's on public
Public, it's
roads. It's on
public.
the road.
So,
It's on public, it's on the road.
so I would tell you to reach out to probably the DPW, and then they can forward it to the right
Department of Public Works.
Department of
Of Public
Yeah.
Works.
Their
And
number is on the
you can call them,
website.
they're on the website, their phone number is on the website, Department of Public Works.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
welcome.
thank you. Anyone else? We have just a few minutes left now.
You know, I was about to start talking about the road portion, and I was cut off. So please, let me just say what I got to say.
The road portion will be discussed in 2
Ma'am,
weeks.
you're just asking about some very specific instances. Can you let me just say what I
Yes.
have to say rather than just cut me off because you're trying to make through time?
Mr. Adelman, just so you're aware.
I'm still
right?
under oath.
Well, no, forget about that. All right, so just so you're aware, what's going to happen in, I think, about 2
2
weeks,
weeks.
right? We're going to have a whole meeting just devoted to traffic issues, but we have a couple minutes left, so if you want to,
Okay. I promise I'm not going to take very long. The intersection of North County Line, Jackson Mills, and East Commodore Road. It's been redone multiple times since the road widening project it started in 2007, 2008. At the time, I'm not sure which governing body in Jackson essentially ceded a strip of land in that memorial park and along Jackson Mills Road, town-owned land to the county to install sidewalks when they did that update, so that this way you wouldn't have to walk in the roadway. It was done so that this way the bridge would be handicap accessible, so that this way that you can go fishing or do whatever you want to do there at the bridge. And it was approved by the town, it was approved by the county. The county paid somebody $500,000 to put it in. The thing's not there. I brought this to the town council's attention. I've been dealing with the town, excuse me, the county engineer's office for 9 years now. All right, there's $500,000 missing.
Could you give me
for-
that address again, just so that we made sure we have the right area?
It is the intersection of North County Line,
Yes,
Jackson Mills Road,
yes.
and East Commodore. They did correct the curb cuts and the push to cross buttons, but basically they go nowhere. And on my good days, I'm hobbling around here. My bad days, I'm in a wheelchair. Either way, you have to walk in the road because there's no sidewalk there. And so it was approved on paper, according to the county, those sidewalks are there. Anybody could drive past and see those sidewalks are not there.
Well,
So-
we have a town councilman here, and I'm certain that he will look into that, because he's writing stuff down
Oh,
very quickly.
Mr. Bernstein's
Well,
heard it before, and
Township engineer, you may want to, well, a couple things. Number one, you want to contact the zoning officer, Jeff Pepora. Right?
Okay.
You want to contact the township engineer.
I spoke to him.
All right, because they'd be able to go back to, if it's governed by resolution, if it's governed by some kind of adoptive government. Yeah, resolution governing documents, something to that effect.
Okay.
Because maybe it was a combination where it was requiring state funding or county funding, maybe a contribution, I don't really know.
yeah,
But
no,
I know when, in projects like that, I'm familiar with them, they usually, there's a multi-layer process to it. So the funding usually comes from 2 or 3 different levels.
On paper, it says that it's done. The only problem is like there's a sign-off sheet when all these projects are done by various officials. The thing that says sidewalks is literally scribbled in. No one can understand who scribbled it in, but it's signed off as those sidewalks are there, and somebody paid for that, like I said. And I've asked our dear mayor for 9 years for help. He's ignored me. At the last town council meeting, he publicly acknowledged that he won't do anything to help me.
Excuse me. It's
Yeah.
not an appropriate
Okay,
comment, please.
we'll go on. But I've been working, like I said, I've spoken to the engineer, and I think it's the assistant engineer also, and they're aware of the problem, but again, they've done nothing about it.
You may want to reach out to the zoning officer then.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Anyone else, please? So there will be 2 more of these public meetings, the first Monday in June and the third Monday in June. They will have different topics, as you were told. One will be circulation and utility elements. That will be on the 3rd.
And economic development plan on the 17th.
So please think about those topics, and we more than welcome you to come back and give us your input on those things. There are things that we can do, and there are things that are out of our purview. We're not the town council. We're just the planning board, and we can only deal with things that are planning board matters. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it, and we hope to see you next time. We'll take a break now.
The meeting's at 6:30, right? The regular meeting?
And the meeting for the
6:30.
planning board will be at 6:30. Thank you. to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the May 20th, 2024 Planning Board meeting for Jackson Township. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in all the proper forums and sources. Madam Chairman?
All right. We've called to order. We'll have a roll call, please.
Mr. Brezzi? Mr. Bernstein? Mr. Heller?
Here.
Mr. Herman? Mr. Riker? Ms. Rose? Mr. Marzo?
Here.
Mr. Chemmer? Mr. Wall?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan? And Dr. Campbell.
Here. May we please have a motion for the payment voucher for recording secretary?
Motion. Second, Bernstein.
We have a roll call vote, please.
See? Yes. Mr. Bernstein?
Here. Yes.
Mr. Heller?
Yes.
Mr. Marzo?
Yes.
Mr. Chemmer? Mr. Wall?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan? Dr. Campbell.
Yes. Approval of the minutes of the May 6th meeting, please, or motion?
Motion, Bernstein.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any changes in the schedule?
Yes.
Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Block 6506, lots 53, 72, 73, 74, 75, and 76, Brewers Bridge Land Office Building is carried from today, May 20th, to July 1st, 2024, with no renotice required. May we have a report regarding the master plan, please?
Good evening. From 5 p.m. to 6:05 p.m. this evening, the Master Plan Subcommittee held its second public hearing. Our consultant explained the climate-related hazard vulnerability assessment element, and the township's affordable housing specialist explained the housing element. Comments were given by members of the public. Information from this meeting will be posted on the township website. On June 3rd, 2024, the public hearing will concentrate on the circulation plan and utility service elements of the master plan. On June 17th, the public hearing will focus on the economic development plan element. Comments are welcome on the township's website. Thank you.
Do we have any legal matters
None at this time.
and any resolutions?
Next meeting, we'll have a few.
Okay, promise. Engineering and planning matters, please.
Nothing here, Madam Chair.
Mr. Asher?
Nothing at this point.
Okay. We will now begin with block 14101, lots 19 and 21 on Brewers Bridge Road. Welcome, Ms. Jennings.
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, I'm Donna Jennings from the law firm of Wilentz, Goldman & Spitzer on behalf of the applicant. As the board is aware, the applicant is here this evening seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval to construct a shul with an accessory residence for the rabbi, his family, and guest on property located at 217 Brewers Bridge Road and identified as block 14101, lot 19 on the township's tax maps. Additionally, the applicant is seeking minor subdivision approval to divide a portion of 217 Brewers Bridge Road and consolidate that subdivided portion into adjoining property located at 2025 Brewers Bridge Road, designated as Block 1410, Lot 21 in the township's tax map. Specifically, the applicant proposes demolition of the existing structures on the lot and the construction of one building. The shul will occupy the front of the proposed structure, and the rabbi's residence will be located in the rear of the structure. The proposal also involves other site improvements such as parking, landscaping, lighting, stormwater management, and refuse enclosures. No variances are required for the request for site plan approval. The testimony will show that the proposal conforms with the requirements of the township's land use and development regulations. With respect to the proposed subdivision, the applicant proposes subdividing an approximately 11,800 square foot portion of Lot 19 and consolidating it with adjoining Lot 21 to create proposed new Lot 21.01. Lot 21 is currently improved with a residence and an accessory horse barn and an accessory pool. Lot 21 currently has frontage on Brewers Bridge Road, and since the approval by this board of a subdivision of Lot 18, not involved in this application, Lot 21 also now has frontage on Holden Court, which is a new street to be constructed. The proposal does not create any new nonconformities not already present on Lot 21. However, if the board requires, the applicant will seek variance relief for the existing nonconformities for proposed Lot 21.01, for minimum lot depth, and to permit an accessory structure in the front yard, both existing conditions. The reference front yard along Holden Court is currently under construction. Additionally, the board's engineer and planner have identified additional variances for minimum lot width and frontage along Brewers Bridge Road, as well as side yard setback for the accessory pool on the lot. Again, these are all existing conditions that are not affected by the site plan improvements. With respect to C variances, if they are required by the board, the testimony and the evidence will show that they satisfy both the C1 and C2 criteria and will also satisfy the negative criteria. In support of the proposal, the applicant will rely on the direct testimony of the following witnesses: Joel Tesser, a fact witness for the shul; Eli Halpert, the applicant's professional engineer and planner sitting to my left; John Ray, the applicant's traffic consultant; and Melissa Rubb, applicant's architect. The applicant is also in receipt of the following reports: the board planner's report dated May 14th, 2021, the board engineers, that's probably 2024, board engineers dated May 10th, 2024, the Jackson Borough Fire Safety District 3 dated April 12th, 2024, and the Jackson Township Police Department Traffic Safety dated March 19th, 2024. And oddly, I did not get anything from your tree specialist, so I assume that report's going to be coming because they always comment. So with that, we could have our first witness sworn and we can begin.
Maybe we can hear from the professionals first, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have much more of that, what Ms. Jennings indicated. Summarized the project very nicely. The variance relief that's required. Two things, actually maybe three. Both the applicant and my report indicate an 8-bedroom or a residence as an accessory use. So I think there should be some discussion of what is accessory and what is primary, and why is the residence not primary versus the shul as secondary. But I think that's a discussion that's important for the board. The other item, Holden Court, where that exactly is that as far as construction? Will Holden Court be open, accepted by the town before this driveway's connection to Holden, to the property, timing-wise, and who's responsible for it? And lastly, just a spec on the parking. There was analysis done on the plans, but just maybe some more testimony as far as where those numbers actually came from. That's all for now. Thank you. So Doug brought up the conversation regarding accessory structures or accessory uses. So that was one of the comments I was going to make before we move forward. And then as to the variances regarding the, what I'm going to call the not the lot in question, I feel like with the exception of maybe the lot depth variance that is possibly changing due to the slight modification in the lot line, I think all the other variances are pre-existing, and I would recommend that they just stay pre-existing conditions as a result of the existing lots, existing whatever, and they just stay, and we don't even have a conversation about them.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And Ms. Jennings, in reply?
We'll address all three of those issues with Mr. Halpert's testimony. We've obviously read the review letters, and we're prepared to address all those issues. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted Mr. Tester to go first, that's correct. We'll get some statement of operations going first.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Affirm. Is it off?
You do this to us every time.
Just punch it a couple times. It'll work.
There it is. I affirm. Thank you.
All right. Please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Joel Tesser also goes by Joel Tesser, 10 Bear Trail, Jackson, New Jersey.
All right.
Yo-
Spell it real quick.
YOELTESSER.
All right. And your credentials for the record?
Credentials
He's a
is-
fact witness.
A fact witness? Fair enough.
Thank you.
If you could, Mr. Tesser, just describe your relationship or position within the Shoal congregation.
So I'm a member of the shul. I'm a member of the synagogue. I'm also a representative for the building committee as well.
Okay, and what is currently on the property?
Currently on the property is a single-family home with a garage in the back of the single-family home.
And why did the Shul select this particular site to develop?
So we decided on this site specifically because of the location. It's next to most of our congregants, within walking distance. It's centered in a great location that would accommodate all our members.
And how many congregants does the Shul have?
So we're approximately between 30 and 40 families.
Okay, and if you could describe the operation of the Shuls, the hours.
So Monday through Friday, we start at 6 a.m. With some classes. Then we have prayers at 7 a.m. till approximately 9 a.m. And then again, we meet again at prayers generally from 8 p.m. till about 10:30 p.m.
And when you say you meet, how many people are coming to the site at those services?
So we're talking probably around 30 people, 40 people.
Okay, and what about on the weekends?
So on the weekends, it's more because we have the congregants with their wives and children. As probably aware, we have large families.
Okay, and what time are the services on Saturdays?
So Saturday's service starts at 8:30. We do have a class before. It's not well attended, but it should be more well attended. That class starts at 8 o'clock. Prayer starts generally around 8:30, but it's a little bit tougher to start exactly on time due to the walking conditions. We all have to walk.
Okay, and what about evening services?
And we have evening services, so it starts Friday night, so it depends on sundown. Generally, whenever Sabbath starts on sundown, it's usually about an hour from sundown till service is finished on Friday night. And again, Saturday, like I just said, and we have afternoon services and evening services, which also start about an hour before sundown, and then goes till a little bit after sundown.
And on Saturday, similar to other Orthodox shuls, the congregants have
Yeah.
to walk, they're not allowed to drive, is that correct?
Correct.
And on other days, how many people would you estimate are driving to the shul for services?
So I would say about 50% of the congregants would drive, and probably around 50% would walk in this new location. Currently, it's a little further out, so.
Okay, and what other types of activities will be happening on the site? Will there be religious education classes?
There would be religious education classes, like I described, generally, either before or after service. We're not going to have any weddings. Maybe on Saturdays we'll have bar mitzvahs, just in synagogue, more just attached to the services.
Okay, when you talk about the religious education classes, generally how many people attend those?
Like I said, we're looking for better attendance, but I would say probably around 15 to 20 people.
15 to 20 people out of it, okay. And what about after services, the post-service kiddush room, that's used?
Yeah, so after, on Saturdays generally, we have after prayers in the morning, we have something called kiddush, which we sit around and we have, the rabbi speaks, we sing, and enjoy the Sabbath. It's a very nice bonding time that we have with our rabbi, who, by the way, I want to just say for the record, we're very thankful that he was able to come today. It's not easy for him to get out. He doesn't generally leave his home. He's a handicap, and it was a big thing for our community that he was able to come out here and show us support, so I want to thank that.
Thank you. And with respect to when you're having your post-service celebration, the food, is it prepared on site?
So the way it works with kosher is, we abide by strict rules. So we would have to have a kosher kitchen. We're generally not cooking. We would just have it, let's say, from a caterer, and then bring it before Sabbath, and then just have like a oven to warm it up, or keep it hot. We don't cook on Sabbath, so we would need a kitchen to prepare, and we would need an oven or so to keep things hot, stuff like that.
Okay, and what about the refuse on the site? Is that going to be by private hauler?
Yeah, that's going to be by private hauler. Just we'd have like a bin, and we'd have a contract with a private company to come and take it away.
Okay, and what type of deliveries do you think the shul will have during the week?
I don't expect anything more than much of a residential deliveries. We order some cups for the synagogue, on a weekly basis, and just basic stuff that we need for the kiddush, and wouldn't expect any trucks, heavy trucks, or anything like that. It's not in a commercial sense.
On the architectural plans, I noticed that there's an aquatherapy room. Is that for the rabbi?
Yes, that's the rabbi. The rabbi is very into his health, as he had some very, very terrible life-threatening condition, and he's works out every single day, tries to go to the gym. For him, the cold is extremely painful for him as an amputee, and him being be able to go into water and do the exercise is tremendously therapeutic for him.
And so this would not be open to the public, that's for his private use?
Correct. It's actually would be detrimental to him to be open to the public, as germs, he's exceptionally, more susceptible to catching other things, infections. Thank you.
Okay, that's all the direct questions I have for the fact witness.
May I ask a few questions here? You've said there'll be no weddings, but you did say there will be bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs?
Correct.
And I've attended quite a number, and I know lots of people come to that. How many people would you expect would be coming to a ceremony like that?
So the bar and bat mitzvahs that I was talking about is generally on the weekends, so on Shabbos, so they wouldn't be driving. So shul would get a little bit more full from the walkers around the neighborhood or further, but I would expect...
I'm one of those drivers who goes to the bar mitzvahs, so I know that we who drive don't walk. So, so parking. I'm only asking because of parking. Also,
you're a more popular woman, so if you're making a big ceremony, you're going to have a lot of people, but not everyone is so popular.
Very enjoyable. 30 to 40 are in your congregation. Is there a cap on the number? I mean, what if you become very popular? Will there be many more than 30 or 40, or would you be willing to put a cap number on how many congregants you would maintain?
So what we were thinking is that we're right now between 30 and 40, plus, our wives come to synagogue as well. They come, we each have a couple of daughters and a couple of sons.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm asking about the congregants themselves. So you have 30 or 40 families.
Mm-hmm.
Would you expect in the future, would you try to build to have 50 families or 60 families? I'm looking for an upward number.
So we left a little bit room of growth as we're going to move. Could be that we might pick up, but there are other synagogues in the neighborhood. And
yours might be the most popular.
Okay, then we'll have a cap. They're not going to want to come if they don't get a seat.
Well, that's also regulated by the square footage of the building itself and the building code and parking.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get to. So is there a number that we will put a cap on for the size of the building?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we probably should ask the architect that question. They would know what the capacity of the building is. I don't think the fact witness is going to know that.
Okay, happy to do that.
I think it's also going to be governed by the parking criteria as
Correct.
well.
The parking's based on the square footage, not the number of people in the building.
Right.
But if
Concern.
okay, all right. We'll get to it when we get to
Anyone
the,
else on the board have a question of this gentleman on the operations?
Yeah, Mr. Tasser, you mentioned Monday through Friday. Could you talk about the Sunday schedule a little bit?
So Sunday schedule is pretty much the same, it's just this, everything gets pushed down a little bit, so we
Start later.
We start a little later, yeah.
Anyone else?
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Sorry. I'm looking at the statement of operations, and the times don't seem to match up on that. Did you prepare the statement of operations that we received?
Yeah, I reviewed it with my attorney.
Okay, so I just want to reconfirm. So you said that services will begin at 6 a.m. and then they end at 9 a.m.?
Service starts at 7. We studied before service. We have studied.
Okay, so, but it's open, I guess,
Yeah.
for people to come, and then you start, okay. And then again in the evening from 9 p.m. through 10:30 p.m.?
Correct.
On Sundays through Fridays. And then on Saturdays, beginning at 8 a.m.?
So we just I put a time there, just like an average time of, because Fridays fluctuate a little bit due to the sundown.
Right, it's based on sundown.
It's based on sundown. I just wanted to put a time.
Okay. Okay, and then, I think that was it. All right, thank you.
Sorry if it wasn't clear. I apologize.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions we have for now.
Just a couple more questions. So when it comes down to this, just because I don't want to get into a situation where now we're talking about different uses here, right? So what events are you looking to typically hold there? Is it customary?
Customary events, basic, anything that is done in the synagogue as a religious.
Do you have a list off the top of your head that are just customary events that are kind of incidental to a synagogue? Like perfect example, the Catholic Church would be a church group or Sunday school or something. I want to make sure the record is clear so that we don't get into a situation where different uses aren't being.
Sure. So we have bar, bat mitzvahs. We have before, when a boy is born, there's before the circumcision ceremony, we have the circumcision.
Bris.
Yeah.
We got
We have when a girl's born, we make a kiddush.
Kiddush.
We have before someone gets married, we have what you call a oath, where we have a ceremony there in synagogue. We have after someone gets married, something called the Sheva Brachas, so it's a little celebration for that. We have on Shabbos itself, after synagogue, like I was explaining before, some bonding time with the rabbi and singing. And we have, that's really, twice. We have right before sundown, we have something called Shalosh Shudas, which is after afternoon prayer as it's getting dark, which is a very mystical time, and on Sabbath, where we sit down and eat as well, and sing again with the rabbi, so those kind of things.
Right.
And you also have religious education classes.
Correct.
Right, this is something to that effect. So I'm just going to request that you just amend the statement of operations to reflect those different incidental uses, just similar to Sunday school or, whatever the corresponding type of events are.
Sure.
So it sounds like you're using that building from 6 to 10:30 almost every day.
Yeah, but not during the day we work, so it's not being used during the day mostly, but
But prayers in the morning.
in the morning and then again at night.
Prayers in the evening, activities, events.
The most activities are just usually Saturday, Friday night, Saturday, those
Okay.
kind of things.
Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And none of those events are going to exceed the times that are in the statement of operations, correct? Just so that there's no discrepancy.
Well, I guess the one issue is Fridays, we put a time in, but it's technically
that's
regulated
what-
by sunset. So
Right.
sunset
Well,
is
that's-
different during the calendar year.
Right, gotcha. It'll turn to stone.
But it wouldn't be later than 10:30. I'm trying to figure out when things will end, because I know, like now, it's light until 8:30, 9 o'clock. So would that extend the
So those-
evening hours?
The things that are done at night, usually 10:30 is plenty of time. We should be done by.
I'm just trying to figure out when people are coming and going.
So I would say that's pretty accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I want to thank all you guys for giving your time, dedication to the board
Thank you.
for the town of Jackson. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'd like to call up Eli Halpert, who will describe the site plan and the subdivision.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last on the record.
Eric Halpert, Halpert.
All right, and your credentials?
Licensed professional engineer and planner. I have testified before multiple boards in multiple jurisdictions before. I received a bachelor's in science and civil engineering from the NJIT. I am familiar with the master plan, with the ordinance, and I prepared these plans.
You've been in front of us a few times. And
Thank you.
Thank
board-
you.
The board accepts your credentials?
Thank you, we accept your credentials.
Okay, if you could, Eli, just please describe the existing site conditions and then what the applicant proposes, and if you're going to rely on any exhibits, please just identify them for the record. I believe you did hand out a packet to the board so that they have their own individual plans to look at as well.
And you're testifying just as a civil engineer, correct?
As an engineer and a planner.
And a planner, okay, gotcha.
Correct. I'll go there. I handed out an exhibit set, which is in addition to the plan set that the board members should have, both the civil set and the architect set, and then there's an exhibit set. So just to discuss the overall site and first to discuss the general issues brought up by the board professionals. The site is located in the eastern section of the township. What is up on the board is an aerial of the site. It is bounded by Brewers Bridge Road, and there is presently improved on the site. There is a residential house on lot 21. There are structures on lot, there are structures, a house and other structures on lot 19. If you could zoom in a little bit, Anthony, to get a better picture of the site. The black line is the boundary of the site. It comprises two lots, lot 19 and lot 21. Lot 21 was formerly a flag lot prior to the board-approved subdivision of Holden Court, which created a right-of-way along the frontage, and now there is frontage to our lots per the approved subdivision along the to-be-constructed Holden Court, which is under construction, and I will go into more detail. I have information regarding utilities, road construction, and other information, and shared responsibilities. To discuss the, Anthony, could you go to the subdivision plan, which is a separate sheet. It wasn't part of the exhibit plan. It's called 217 subdivision is what it's called up on the township website. Yeah. I think it makes sense just to discuss first what is happening with the lot line and then to get back into the site plan, which is the most important component of tonight's application. If you could zoom into the thank you. Again, as discussed, there are two lots, lot 19 and lot 21. The applicant is proposing a lot line shift, a minor subdivision to straighten the irregular lot line that forms the boundary between lot 19 and lot 21, which would create a new parcel of lot 19.01 and lot 21.01. The application is to remove all improvements on present lot 19. All improvements on lot 21 are to remain. Based on the subdivision, the applicant has submitted, and we have prepared a site plan to create a house of worship with an attached accessory residence in the new lot 1901. Can you go back, Anthony, to the exhibit set to page 3? Page 3 is the site plan. So first, to discuss the proposed site plan, which is contingent upon certain improvements previously approved by this board that created Holden Court, and also previously approved utility installations by the Jackson MUA. And just first to discuss the bigger picture and where our site plan fits in. Could you zoom out a little bit to capture more of Holden Court? Thank you. The board is looking at the site plan with Holden Court, right-of-way, which is presently under construction. A driveway is being proposed to open onto Holden Court. Additionally, utility connections are proposed to the not as of yet constructed but already approved sewer main to be constructed as part of the Holden Court improvements. So just first to discuss where things stand in terms of those improvements. As per an email with Earl Quijano from the Jackson MUA, a pre-construction meeting was held actually last week for the construction of the installation of the new sewer main. All permits are in hand, TWA permit, everything is in hand, and construction for the sewer main is anticipated to commence within a month, as per an email I received from Earl, from Mr. Quijano. Our application has approval from the MUA to connect to that sewer main. Of course, that connection cannot receive final approval until the sewer main that is about to commence construction is online. And judging where we are right now with this application and the soon-to-be commencement of the construction of the utilities, it would work nicely, and construction should last approximately 6 months to a year. It is hard to estimate exactly. We know when construction will start. We're only a month away from that, and our project will tie into that. That's in terms of utilities. In terms of the roadway improvements, so again, part of the roadway improvements involves utilities, which we just mentioned is going to be shortly installed. As per a conversation with the owner of the adjacent lot, the stormwater management facilities have been largely installed, and the roadway is going to be constructed also shortly. I don't have an exact time of when, but their approval was a couple years ago. They are up to construction. Our project obviously is dependent on opening. This driveway is dependent on the construction of the Holden Court improvements, and the two project owners are coordinating. The responsibility of the Holden Court improvements remain on the owner of the adjacent lot of the subdivision that was approved. It is his responsibility to construct the road, to install all the improvements that were required as part of that subdivision, including curb on the other side, and we will discuss the sidewalk on our side. Our applicant would be responsible for the sidewalk on our side. And as we go through the review letter, I will go into more detail. Again, just to discuss bigger, before getting into the details, the proposal, so getting into the proposal is to construct a structure which will be 7,374 square foot footprint, comprised of 3 floors. It will contain a place of worship and an attached residence for the rabbi. And the rabbi's residence, it is our position, is accessory in nature. The reason why the rabbi's residence is accessory in nature is it is customary to have a rabbi or a member of the clergy on the same premises as a place of worship. The rabbi's function, as the fact witness mentioned, in leading the congregation is not only to simply hold an office, but to provide guidance and to render decisions in matters of religious law, and the availability and proximity of the rabbi to the congregants certainly is an enhancement to the use of the place of worship and is accessory to the place of worship. The primary use over here is the place of worship that would exist without the rabbi's residence, and the rabbi's residence is accessory to the place of worship.
Can you just explain why there's so many bedrooms?
The rabbi is, the rabbi is married. His children do not live at home. He has adult children who visit, and the house was constructed in order for the rabbi to be able to accommodate his children who will visit. Generally, the rabbi and his wife are alone without their children, but the purpose is for their children.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
If for some reason the rabbi changes or anything, that would only stay the residence for the rabbi, or the person in charge won't be a rental for anything else, and you would stipulate to that, that would always remain the rabbi house, kind of like a rectory at a parochial school?
Yeah, the applicant would definitely agree to that stipulation, because if a part of the house were to turn to shul, parking changes. So again, everything is always related to parking. So yes, that would absolutely be a stipulation of an approval if the board were to grant one.
So we could stipulate that it would be the rabbi and his immediate family.
Well, they do have guests, right? You have, so it could be their guest or a guest guest rabbi.
How long does a guest stay?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's my question.
Like they say,
Yeah. 3 days.
3 days,
And
yeah.
Fish and
Until
company.
after the Kiddush.
Yeah, right. So stipulate, I mean, not precluding guests, we all have guests. Could we stipulate the rabbi and his immediate family?
Yes, it's not going to be rented out to third parties.
Thank
I think
you.
that's what you're trying to get at.
Or students staying for long periods of time.
Gotcha.
That's what we're looking for.
Right, understood.
you.
You don't want it to turn it into a dorm.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Magic word.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that was.
Dr. Campbell, one question. Before you turn, just because I'm studying over here on the parking on this diagram, is there I see the number 12 and 15. Is there a crosswalk? Just because my understanding is most of the driving will be, obviously in the morning and the evening when there's probably not a lot of children, but people obviously come Friday before sundown, and they'll be parking on the outer, and there'll be a lot of coming and going very close to sundown. Is there a crosswalk?
There is no crosswalk proposed. You're asking about a crosswalk where specifically?
From the parking closest to Brewers Bridge, from there to the island, and then from the island to obviously to the building. Just to mark it off so we can have somewhere safe.
We agree. Are you referring to these two areas?
No, in the middle of the parking, go down a little bit where the arrows are. Is there anywhere safe for people just to cross from one parking lot to the next?
We could
Just mark it
stripe.
off.
We could stripe a crosswalk.
Yeah,
Okay. Yes.
Bless you. Whoever.
By striping the crosswalk, you'd be eliminating 3 spots then?
No.
The idea of the crosswalk would not be eliminating spots. The crosswalk would be at the end island in order to get from one island to the other island, is what I understood.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was referring to, yeah.
Thank you.
And perhaps at both ends of the islands, so that would facilitate things for people.
The applicant would agree to that.
Good, thank you.
So to get more into the plan and to the review letters. I will go through first the parking calculations. The ordinance is new, and just to go through again how we calculated the parking requirements of the site. So as per the new ordinance, the chapter provides for different requirements, different rates of parking requirements per different areas, different square footage. And that was how the parking calculation was determined. And this is on the cover page, which the cover page is not part of the exhibit set. Anthony, could you go to the plan set, to the civil plan set? Thank you. To page 1. And could you zoom into the bottom? So as shown over here, where I'm pointing, and this is on the handout, this is on the cover sheet, the parking requirements are as per various amounts of square footage. The architect plan lists what the main sanctuary is, what other assembly areas are, specifically the women's assembly area and the kiddush, the gathering assembly area, and per the ordinance requirements, the amount of parking was brought to a total of 68. The main congregation seating is 2117 square feet. The assembly for the women is 1727, and the assembly for the downstairs gathering area post services kiddush is 2357, and that totals to 68 parking spaces required. The applicant provided the required parking with the EV credits. That was just to discuss the parking requirements under the new ordinance. Okay.
Dr. Campbell, quick question.
I'm sorry, and the residential, I'm sorry, and the residence requires 3 spaces per RSIS, I'm sorry. The residence also requires parking, and the total of 68 is with the residence, and the total amount of parking provided is for the main sanctuary and for the residence, which was calculated using RSIS.
Now, a question, which probably goes more to I think it was Mr. Tester, but you probably can answer with the parking. Generally, the kiddush and the prayer sessions are not going on at the same time. So it's the same crowd who's coming from prayers are going into the kiddush. Is that assumption true?
That is the assumption, yes. The assumption that the parking provided was, and as per the fact witness, that these are post-services kiddush, so it's the same people going from one room to another room, is what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
To discuss the board engineer's letter, we have not received comments from the Environmental Commission. Utilities, the applicant is in receipt of MUA approval. The board should be copied on that MUA approval. And as stated in the MUA approval, it is contingent upon the sewer main installation. So this is a preliminary approval. The MUA has 3 steps: preliminary, tentative, and final. And the the application has received preliminary approval for the connections.
Let me go back just for a second. Mr. Klee, could you address the parking situations? Because I remember you had questions on that.
I think my major question is, I'll agree with it, assuming that the architecturals are correct and the square footages for the sanctuary and the assembly area, are accurate. I think it was indicated that for parking for the residents, 3 spaces?
3 spaces per RSIS.
There's no provision in IRS for once you get up into higher bedrooms, additional parking?
Jackson Township doesn't have that provision. There are extra spaces, and the applicant, there are 2 extra spaces. There is no specific provision beyond the 5 bedrooms.
That you're aware of?
That I'm aware of.
I think there might be. I'm not really sure myself.
I believe in the case, I mean, this is, I'm going to say it a little strangely, in the case of a single-family detached home, which we could
This is not.
debate what this is, right? But in the case of a single-family detached home, it would go up 0.5 above per bedroom.
Certain townships
So that
have
would
that
be- that would be
provision. The
4
applicant is able
4.5.
to, the applicant does have sufficient parking to provide for the extra 0.5. There are 8 bedrooms, and the 0.5 would be 1.5, would be 4.5, and there are 2 extra spots presently on the site plan.
I think it would be helpful if the plans were revised to show
Plans
this.
could be revised.
Thank you.
And I'd like to add just on the parking, in looking at the plans, I just want to make sure there's places where, in my opinion, there's sort of a mix between the residential spaces and then the shul-related spaces, and I could just be reading the plans wrong. Is the playroom, for example, only for the rabbi's use, or is that for everyone's use?
Okay, that would be the architect plan. The playroom, are you referring to on what sheet of the architect plan?
It is on sheet, this is Z2, or the second page.
A playroom on the right side? A playroom on the right side, that's for the residents only, for the residents.
So,
And there is an architect to provide more detailed testimony regarding the architect
and is
plans.
so then the food prep room with only a door into the kiddush, that is part of kiddush, I'm guessing?
I'm going to let the architect go
yeah.
into detail for the architect plan.
But just so the record clear, the applicant agrees to comply with the parking requirements for whatever number of bedrooms that they have, correct?
Yeah, and there is, with the EV credits, there's actually 71 spaces, and we're required right now to have 68, so if there's 2 more needed,
Right.
there's still 1 extra over. And I think to take in consideration the particular applicant, he doesn't drive.
No, that's.
Well, this rabbi doesn't drive.
Correct.
I wish him good health, but we're planning for the future. So we have to consider a future situation where we may have the blessing of a rabbi with multiple children, even some who drive. So we have to keep that in mind.
The applicant is not seeking any waiver from providing parking supply. The plans will be revised as per the board engineer.
Okay.
And
Fine.
we are not seeking a variance from parking supply.
So,
That's great.
So if we recalculate something, we'll just comply.
Yes.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Mr. Brezzi has.
Ms. Jennings, I have one question. You have not received anything from the Environmental Commission as of yet.
No, we did not.
If this was to be approved, would you stipulate that if you have a letter of concern, you'd have to come back to us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I ask a question? This is just floating through my mind. We have one development that is not yet developed. I drive by it every day, so I'm familiar with what's going on. And then we have this very nice application. I see it as a great thing for the community. Is there a timeline when you won't start one until the other is finished? Or in process, or at least the infrastructure is finished?
Correct. Yes, the Holden Court improvements need to be installed, as mentioned specifically. The utilities need to be installed, the roadway needs to be installed. Part of the outside agency approvals, we need MUA approval, who have said that their final approval will not be issued until it is online. However, knowing the process for resolution compliance,
Not quick.
It should work. There are many unknowns, but yes, the Holden Court infrastructure will be in place in order for not all of the homes, of course, not all of the individual homes that were approved as part of the subdivision, but the infrastructure is currently underway, construction underway, and yes, that will be in place.
All the infrastructure would need to be in.
Yes.
The lighting, the sidewalks, the utilities, the roadway, the curbs, everything has to be in before this other project would begin.
No, I wouldn't say
that's what
before it
I'm asking.
begins. I would say before you get a CO.
Yes.
I mean, you could certainly start construction.
My concern is that things happen, and things move. I mean, I know depends on lot lines and where things exist, and I'm just a little concerned about starting one project when the other is not near completion, or at least the infrastructure isn't near completion.
The ownerships are in touch and are coordinating, and certainly this applicant is willing to accept. Certainly a CO cannot be issued, and the applicant, if the applicant would begin any construction and something would go wrong, that would be at the applicant's risk of not being able to utilize work he has put into it.
Great. That's just good planning.
Yeah, I think in order to obtain the zoning permit, you need to get everything through resolution compliance, so all the outside
Correct.
agency approvals anyway, so, yeah.
Anyone else on the board have anything at this time? All right, please.
It's not even constructed yet.
It is still under construction, so stormwater has been placed.
No, not necessarily, because doing the work is one thing. Coming off the bond is going to the council and asking them to release it, and they may not. I have many developer clients that wait and wait and wait for the bonds to get released. Not necessarily in Jackson, but anywhere in the state, but the projects are done. So it's really, are the improvements in, and can we safely use Holden Court to come in and out and have all our utilities? Not, did the developer get his bond release? That's a different issue.
And then, which entrance are you going to use for construction vehicles? I would worry about construction vehicles going into Holden Road, which has homes. So could you stipulate that you would use the other entrance instead of Holden Road? Because they both go out to the same area.
Yes, they're both going to Brewers Bridge.
They're both going to Brewers Bridge, but my concern is for the people in the neighborhood should not have to be dealing with construction vehicles for your,
Well, my guess would be the road will be in, and we'll be building the shul, and they'll be building the single-family homes. And maybe the first person's living there, but you got to build all the homes first. They're not going to all be built overnight. So there's going to be construction vehicles going up and down Holden Court to build the single-family homes, but
to build the homes, yes.
yeah, so I think they're all going to be being built around the same time. Once that road is in, the infrastructure's there, they can be building their single-family homes while we're building the shul and the residents. I don't think one is exclusive of the other.
Right, and it just, if need be, I'm sure that you guys are aware of this, but you can get a construction easement from the individual that you're coordinating with if need be. Yeah.
Good.
Certainly likely, the construction vehicles would be entering off of Brewers Bridge. First, Holden Court has not yet, Holden Court is still privately, is not yet Holden Court, and the current applicant doesn't have rights right now to that. So
Correct.
it may be hard to stipulate where the construction vehicles,
I'm just concerned that Holden Road residents may object strenuously to construction vehicles. Let's say the homes are built first, and then all of a sudden, we're starting another project, and they're subject to construction vehicles.
our project can be looked at separate. It's its own it's its own lot, and construction vehicles, the applicant would be willing to accept a stipulation to enter.
Appreciate that, for the sake of the residents of Holden Road.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
over here.
Oh, Mr. Clee.
Thank you. On the issue of holding court and access to the shul, how about you can't make the connection until holding court's been accepted by the town as a public right-of-way?
Correct.
That's okay?
Yes.
Okay. And was there any thought on where the new driveway intersects or connects to holding court in relation to the residences that are going to be built?
Yes.
I'm getting to headlights coming out, shining right in somebody's front door versus on a lot line. So the location of the driveway coincides with a lot line versus a house.
So yes, I have as an exhibit, Anthony, could you go to the exhibit set? The exhibit titled A7 is simply the adjacent subdivision showing our lot. Our lot is not superimposed, but could you zoom in to around where I am pointing? So the proposed driveway on our plan is approximately 240 feet from the right-of-way, which is right around here, is only opposite the stormwater management lot. The driveway is before the residential lots even begin.
Okay, thank you.
To orient and place in context.
Thank you. Good catch.
We do have our traffic expert will address traffic safety, traffic comments. And I will not go into the traffic safety and comments and either of the board engineer letter or of the board planner letter. Regarding fire, the fire official's letter, the applicant is able to comply with the conditions. Specifically, Anthony, could you go back to the site plan, A3? I'm sorry, to the exhibit set, to exhibit A3, which is the site plan. The fire official requested, because of the propensity for EV stations for the batteries to sometimes catch fire, he does not want the EV parking adjacent to the building as shown, and he would like them relocated, and the applicant is willing to have them relocated. Additionally, the fire official wanted a designated fire zone, which per the code is 12 by 10. There is a large area right in front of the building, and a portion of that will be designated as the fire zone, and I had an email exchange with the fire official, and he is comfortable with that. The refuse will need to be rotated slightly, some slight modifications to the refuse location, although the fire official indicated in his letter that the refuse enclosure should be 25 feet from the structure. Per a subsequent conversation and email with the fire official, he is not requiring 25 feet. The code does not require, it does require 5 feet. The plan as shown has one of the refuse enclosures at 5 feet. One of them is slightly closer, and it can be modified, and the applicant will be able to comply with that condition. It would not need to be relocated farther away to the other side, where there is room also, but there is no need.
The fire official was okay with that.
The fire official is okay. I spoke with the fire official and exchanged an email. And the application is conditioned on receiving fire official approval.
Could we say fire commission written approval, please?
Fire official commission written approval.
Written approval.
Yes.
Could we also get some documentation, I'm sorry, from the fire official just confirming that email conversation?
Yes.
So that it doesn't say 25 feet any longer?
That email could be I have an email, and I could forward that as an exhibit.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
To continue with the board engineer's letter regarding deliveries, the fact witness stated generally the deliveries will comprise some food deliveries on Friday afternoon would be the typical time for the Kiddush on Shabbos when the parking lot is generally empty. There is no requirement to have a dedicated loading zone, and per the fact witness's representation that deliveries will comprise basis food with small trucks, there is no need to have a dedicated loading zone, and the ordinance does not require it. Regarding grading and drainage, generally the project is going to be a net cut. This project, again, is dependent on the Holden Court improvements. We were able to receive the site plan from the adjacent subdivision to coordinate. Of course, something may change as the plan is depicted. It is generally a net cut. There's going to be excavation for the building. There is some fill. It'll be a net cut. If there is a need for soil importation, the applicant will comply with the ordinance requirements. Proposed, regarding the stormwater management. The stormwater management, if you could go, Anthony, to the next sheet of this exhibit set, the grading drainage plan. Comprises, could you zoom in a little bit more just to the site plan portion? Thank you. The stormwater management facilities are provided to comply with the requirements of the Township ordinance and NJDEP stormwater management rules. It comprises a surface basin for water quality, for attenuation, and a subsurface infiltration basin. The runoff beyond the required reductions are connected to the to-be constructed stormwater catch basin on the corner of Holden Court and Brewers Bridge, and there should be no soil erosion issues. The calculations show that the reductions are met, and it is a robust stormwater management system. The applicant is able to provide, the plans will be revised to provide access from the portion of the site closer to Holden Court. It will be graded in order to provide access, and fencing will be placed around the perimeter of the stormwater basin. Regarding lighting and landscaping, can you go to the next sheet, please, Anthony? To A5. The applicant has provided screening and buffering generally along the perimeter. The requirement is to the residential properties 10 feet to the right-of-way, and Holden Court is a right-of-way. The plan is Holden Court will be a right-of-way, and therefore it is 15 feet to Brewers Bridge and to Holden Court, and screening is provided along the perimeter. There are, the planner letter pointed out there will be some de minimis waivers requested from certain landscaping on end islands, which are generally compliant, and I will go into it in detail. The refuse is 5 feet from the building, and that may preclude a full 5-foot buffer between the refuse, the edge which is closest to the building. Again, generally, the buffering and landscaping will be provided with some de minimis deviations, and the applicant will be requesting a design waiver as to be able to provide the landscaping as practicable per the layout that is depicted.
The Forester Commission is going to have to review all this.
I'm sorry?
The Forester Commission is going to have to review all this.
Yes.
Anyway, correct. Yeah.
And we will,
And you're going to have to get
we will
outside
comply.
agency approval to.
Yes. The applicant is in receipt, again, as stated, MUA approval, the preliminary county approval, both for the minor subdivision and for the site plan, with one condition. There was a comment regarding the traffic report, but we have the conditional county improvement, and the applicant will need to receive all outside agency approvals, and the update, and that is the update regarding MUA and Ocean County Planning Board. We have not received we did not receive the Forester letter. We will have to comply, and the Environmental Commission and all other outside agency approvals. The soil erosion, we do not yet have the approval. And I will go through the board planner's letter. The minor subdivision involves numerous existing nonconformities. As the board planner mentioned earlier, the minor subdivision does change and improve on one of the existing nonconformities. All the nonconformities vary, all the variances are existing nonconformities, and the applicant is not seeking any new proposed variance on the minor subdivision.
Which one is improved?
For the record, the lot width along Holden Court, if that would be the lot width, if that would be considered the lot width or the lot depth from Brewers Bridge to the rear, is going to be improved by, is going to be improved by approximately 8 feet.
But still not conforming.
But still non-conforming. Going through the board planner comments, we discussed the principal use, the accessory use. The architect will provide architectural testimony, and the architect will also address any signage on the building if there is proposed. Regarding traffic, we do have our traffic expert will address the waivers that are a component of the site plan for large parking areas. I will address comment number 8 regarding 244197K, minimum 10-foot wide landscape islands at the end of parking rows. The plan generally provides landscaped islands, generally 10 feet. There are certain spots where it is less than 10 feet around the bend also, and the applicant is seeking a waiver from complying fully with the requirements, but to provide as practicable for this layout, landscaped islands, but it will be a de minimis deviation from the requirements. And I believe that that is justified. There is sufficient landscaping throughout the site. There is extra landscaping in front of the structure. There is more, the structure is set back from the parking with extra landscaping. And again, generally the islands are landscaped, and it is a de minimis deviation, which I believe would be justified. Regarding sidewalk, again, the Holden Court roadway improvements require the Holden Court owner to install roadway and curb. As per the board planner's letter, the Holden Court owner is not required to provide sidewalk on our side in front of our property, and this applicant is willing to provide sidewalk along the entire length of the two properties, and is not requesting a waiver.
Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Again, parking, the applicant will be able to comply with the parking supply requirements, and any revisions required shall be made. Can you go, Anthony, to the site plan set? I'm sorry, to the other PDF, the site plan, the civil site plan, to page 5 or 6, to the circulation plan. Okay, thank you. This sheet shows the circulation for the refuse collection. As discussed, the refuse enclosure will be slightly modified in its location, but the refuse location is accessible as per the fact witness. The refuse collection will be provided by a private hauler. It will be approximately 2 times a week. The enclosure, there are 2 enclosures. One is for recyclables, one is for solid waste, and 2 times should be sufficient for the refuse that will, from the synagogue and the attached residence.
Are there times that you're limiting that to? What times you're expecting it, or a limit on it?
The applicant is willing to stipulate that it should not be before 7 a.m.
And what about end?
and not after 9 p.m.
Thank you.
Again, regarding deliveries, generally, that would be Friday afternoon would be the typical delivery time. The applicant will comply with the lighting requirements, and revisions will be made to the plan per the letter. Regarding landscaping, again, 2441978, the end islands, the applicant is seeking a de minimis waiver from conforming fully with the requirements, but shall provide landscaping to the greatest extent practicable, which is virtually complying, but it will be deviating from the full requirements. A site triangle easement will be provided, and the Jackson Township Certified Tree Expert will need to approve the plan, and when we are in receipt of the plan, revisions will be made as per the letter. Utilities, again, we have preliminary approval from the Jackson MUA. Again, 244208C in item I, Number 2, 244208C, a 5-foot minimum width landscape area should be provided along the fence or wall enclosing the refuse storage area. The applicant will generally be able to provide that. The section of the refuse that would be closest to the building, which will be 5 feet away per the fire official, may not be able to have the full 5-foot width, but generally the applicant will be able to screen the refuse and is seeking a de minimis waiver from completely providing the landscaping between the refuse and the building. As mentioned earlier, the minor subdivision does have variances indicated both in the board engineer's letter and in the board planner's letter. And it is my opinion and my testimony that the board is justified in granting the variances. These can be granted under what is known as a hardship variance. These are existing nonconformities. The lot was created as part of, there is a filed map. The lot shape has previously been created. The 30-foot frontage and the 30-foot width were previously created and exists. The lot depth and lot width, as discussed, is only being improved, and the structures along the accessory structure, which is in the front yard, is an existing nonconformity which was created as a result of the Holden Court subdivision, which placed a right-of-way along the property, and therefore the accessory structure is existing nonconformity. The board planner requested information regarding the height of the structures, if that will require a variance, and the existing structures. Anthony, are you able to go to the 217, the subdivision plan? Could you zoom in to the right to this area? The house is approximately 23.2 feet. That is as per survey shots, and an extra measurement was taken to determine the roof, the height. The barn is approximately 18.1 feet high, and variances are not required for that. The pool is, as per the board planner letter, is under 50 feet, is approximately 47 feet from the lot line. And again, these are all existing nonconformities and would fall under the hardship. It would fall under the hardship because these are structures and the lot are both existing, and to require the applicant to dismantle the structures and to reconfigure the lot is certainly going to be a hardship, and that would be able to satisfy the positive criteria.
And the pool is only going to be for personal family use, correct?
The pool is only for personal family use.
Stipulate to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The pool has nothing to do with the site plan
Just-
application.
Just future concern.
Yes. Yes. When the board grants a bulk variance, the negative criteria need to be satisfied also, and this is satisfied by demonstrating that there is no substantial detriment to the public good and there is no substantial deviation from the zoning ordinance. These are existing nonconformities. There is no substantial detriment to the public good. These exist right now, and these are minor deviations, and they're existing, and the negative criteria would be satisfied as well. and the board will be justified in granting the existing nonconformities as part of the minor subdivision.
Just asking the professionals, the lighting, you're satisfied with the lighting plan?
The lights will be provided with shields?
Yes.
There's a problem?
Shields and timers to go off at 11 p.m.
And the roadway in lights? That's a pretty long roadway, so,
The roadway lighting is part of the Holden Court improvements.
okay, great, thank you.
Yes.
Are our professionals also accepting of the landscape plan?
I think the perimeter, no issues with. I think that's, they did a good job. I still have an issue with the internal islands. Why not put a couple trees?
Yes, the applicant is willing to place the request for the applicant will revise and place trees and shrubs. The request for the waiver is only because referring to the width, but the shrubs will be added. They aren't shown. They will be added. Trees will be added. The waiver is from the dimensioning.
But the internal circulation aisles, they'll get the trees and the shrubs.
Yes.
Along the northerly side of, I'll say the northerly side of the building, there is landscaping around the trash enclosure, but the whole length of the building, I guess to the east, there's not really anything. Foundation plantings, can we get some?
Yes,
plantings?
you can add foundation plantings.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a small one regarding the catch basin. That's on the roadway, right? The parking? That's where you're putting the catch basin?
The utilities, including the stormwater, the catch basin,
yes.
are part of the Holden Court improvements, and we are tying into the Holden Court improvements.
Cars are going to be driving over those drains?
Which drain?
On page A5 or A4, whichever one that is.
Anthony, could you go please to page A5? Of the exhibit set, I'm sorry.
All those black squares. That's what you said.
Those are underground, and they are able to, there are specifications to provide for cars are able to go over, yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
I'm sorry, I have just a couple more. You mentioned that there's going to be deliveries like Friday afternoon. Does that cover for all activities over the weekend as well? So the social events?
Yeah, there will be no deliveries on Saturday, on Shabbos, and the deliveries for the services and for the post services, Kiddush, would be on Friday afternoon, correct, yes.
Okay. And then could you just reiterate for me what approvals you're still waiting for?
We are awaiting approvals from the Environmental Commission, from the Forester, from the Soil Conservation District. We have preliminary approval from the MUA, but we need tentative and final approval. Soil Conservation, nice. I believe that is all. And if I missed any, I believe that is all. The county, we are in receipt of the county approval with one comment.
Right. And these will have to be complied with during the resolution compliance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all the ones you have not received, you have made application for, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just walk me through with the variances. Just walk me through what parts of the MUL that it advances, just so we can have a clear record.
We went for hardship as opposed to C2?
Right, okay, all right, so they were all hardship variances?
Yes.
Gotcha.
We do have a traffic expert. I will comment that the fire official does like having secondary access. The fire official always would like, when there's a corner lot, to have secondary emergency access. And in addition to the secondary emergency access, it does ease pressure off of the Brewers Bridge roadway, and it provides secondary access for the congregants. But it is a secondary access that the fire official would like. There were comments, and I will let the traffic expert address specifically the comments we
I would
received.
also think for walking congregants, it would be closer for people on that side rather than people down Brewers Bridge, so it's probably a good plan.
And to orient, again, if Anthony, if you go to the adjacent subdivision, again, I'll let him bring it up, I'm sorry, what I meant was to Exhibit A7, which is the adjacent subdivision plan. So again, the driveway is kept before the residential portion before the residences begin, but it does provide a secondary access. But children playing would be beyond that driveway.
You know, for once, when I ask them for a secondary exit, it's there already. So, you know, I appreciate that, because we always
I'm
have to
thinking to
hound for a
myself all the
second way
time,
out.
where's the secondary access? And now we give it to you and you don't want it.
No, we don't, we want it.
We want it. Just
Yes.
a question. I think it's a good.
Okay,
always
I
a good
apologize.
question. It's
And-
always a
and
good
again, we do
question,
have-
But I think we're very pleased to see a secondary exit. It's much safer, and it makes much more sense, especially given the very long road that is going to be taking place. I have a lot of questions about that road, so when we get there.
I thought you were being very quiet over there, and I was just keeping my fingers crossed.
That is a high compliment.
Yeah, so I think if there's no further questions for Mr. Halper, we'll call up the architect. Okay. Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call the architect, Melissa Rubb, who you may have known as Melissa Mermelstein, but she told me she changed her name to her married name.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Though
That
I
was a
always
long time
I
coming.
like the song Miss Marmelstein, so I'll miss it.
I said the same thing. I love her maiden name. I love the way it rolled out, but all right. Can't
Barbra
pick who you
Streisand.
marry, I guess, right?
All right. Please raise your right hand.
Sure,
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
You can state your name and spell your last on the record.
Melissa Rubb, R-U-B. I am a graduate of the City College of New York. I am licensed in the state of New Jersey, and I've appeared before this and other municipal
And the
boards
board
throughout the
accepts your
state.
credentials?
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could, for the board, walk us through both the shul layout and the rabbi residence. And if you're going to refer to an exhibit, just please identify it for the record.
Sure. Anthony, if I could trouble you to go to the next page, Z2. And let's actually go to Z3. We'll start at the first floor. Thank you. So we are proposing a two-story shul with a basement attached to a two-story home with a basement for the rabbi and his family to reside. The first floor of the shul is 4,374 square feet and is approximately 82 feet 9 inches long by 55 feet wide. The first floor has a lobby, vestibule, coat room and coffee room, that's over here, bathrooms, and a 2,116 square foot main sanctuary. In previous testimony, there was a question of the occupancy load for the main sanctuary, and code would identify it at 141 persons in the main sanctuary at a maximum. There's also an overflow lady section / library over here at the main level. And with the bathroom as well. Anthony, if we can go to the next sheet, Z4, please. The second floor of the shul is 2,256 square feet with a 1,590 square foot ladies balcony, which overlooks the main sanctuary. Now let's hop over to Z2, please. The basement level is 5,167 square feet. I know there was some confusion about where the basement extended for the shul area, and that's this line right here. So everything to the left on this side is part of the shul. And the main use of the basement is a Shabbos Kiddush room, and the ancillary spaces around it, like coat room, bathroom, and warming kitchen. The shul and the home will both be fully sprinklered. To address the Bureau of Fire Safety's comments in the review letter we received, we agreed to the following conditions. One Knox box, sorry, Anthony, next page, Z3, please. Thank you. One Knox box at the main entrance of the shul. A secondary Knox box where the shul and the home meet at the secondary entrance over here. And a remote FDC at the south side, on the side, where they split between the shul and the residential walkways. On the residential side, on the home side, this is the ground floor of the residence, and it is 2,984 square feet, approximately 77 feet wide by 50 feet deep. The first floor of the home has a foyer, living room, dining room, kitchen, mudroom, and home office. Additionally, we have provided facilities for the rabbi at the first floor level to accommodate wheelchair access, including a primary bedroom, bathroom, and the rabbi study. Page Z4, please. Thank you. At the second floor of the home, we have a secondary primary bedroom, and as well as a laundry room and 6 additional bedrooms for the Lubins visiting children and grandchildren. Anthony, if we can go back, sorry, to page Z2. The residential area of the basement has a playroom, studio, and as we described earlier, the rabbi's aquatherapy room. And again, this is for private use only and has no public access. If we can go over to the exhibit set, to exhibit A8. Thank you very much.
This is an architectural rendering of the exterior of the structure. We focused primarily on the shul elevation, using classic and stately materials like limestone and paneling, with modern limes and trims. If we can go over to Exhibit A10, please. That's a front view. And that's a view of the home. It's meant to complement the shul and its materials with similar colors and textures. At this time, I would be happy to address any of the board's questions.
If in the future the situation changes, that aqua room would only be for home use of a rabbi, the rabbi, or the family member?
That is correct. It would stay in the use of the home.
And that
only.
would be stipulated?
Yes.
Thank you.
What is the height of the shul?
Sure. $31 from grade to top of roof.
And then the height of the residence?
$20 from grade to the eave of the roof.
And then the access to the residence, because it looks like there's no, even though they're attached, there's no connection between the shul and the residence.
I can walk you through that, yeah, sure. If we can go back to page Z2, Z3, I believe, is the first floor plan. Not in the exhibit set, in the architectural set, please. Yeah. One more page. Thank you very much. So right here is the rabbi's study, and there's a little hallway vestibule that leads to this entrance. This is the entrance that's accessed via this ramp right here, this L-shaped ramp. So the rabbi could easily access the main level, and from here, go straight into the main sanctuary or into his private study. There's additional ramp access to the front door of the home.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just looking at the diagram here, are those steps leading to the front, or I just can't see clearly here, or is that a ramp? 'Cause I know the rabbi currently obviously uses a wheelchair.
Sorry, the residential home?
Into the residential home, yeah.
Yeah, so there's steps here, and the ramp comes from the parking area and wraps around this way. That connects to the porch right here.
Okay.
So this is the ramp that goes from grade up. This long ramp actually accesses the basement. So the rabbi wouldn't use the elevator on Shabbos, and in order to get to Kiddush, you would go down the ramp, yeah. Sure.
Mike?
The ground floor is wheelchair accessible, and the main facilities for the rabbi, so bedroom and his private bathroom, are all wheelchair accessible, all ADA. Sure.
And then as far as the capacity, the maximum capacity, you said for the main sanctuary, it's 141?
Persons.
Is that's just the maximum capacity throughout the entire?
And then upstairs for the lady section is an additional, sorry, one moment. 106 ladies.
And then for the Kiddush room, that would be the combination of the two for the maximum capacity?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
On the plans that there is solar consideration?
Absolutely. The roof of the shul is flat, and so we would definitely consider solar after the mechanical units have been placed.
A
Absolutely.
little more than consider, maybe?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Flat roof is a flat roof, you know?
I wanted to address one more item. Anthony, if we can hop over to, I believe it's Z. One moment. Sorry, you know what, let's go to the exhibit set. Exhibit A8, please. Thank you. There's some wall-mounted signage. I just wanted to point that out for the board. Per the township ordinance, it would be a maximum of 80 square feet, so we would comply.
And there's no site signage, though, just a building facade, right?
That's correct.
I also, someone asked me during the break, I noticed that there is a small grassy area behind the residence. I'm thinking, you know, maybe now it's not needed for a play area, but there's not a very large play area for the rabbi's children, future rabbi's children, basketball court or whatever. Is that as big as it's going to be? A big an area as it going to be?
Well, we do have an interior play area in the basement. As for outdoor play area, I'll maybe hand that question over to Mr. Halpert, yeah.
Yes, that area could be utilized by the grandchildren, for example.
Right.
And when designing the site, I did try to leave as much lawn area, because I do like lawn area. And it is approximately from the parking area across to the building 30 feet, which is actually nice. It's a little bit larger than my backyard. But there is an area where children can play.
And did I miss it, or is there a garage? Small, just one
Storage
car?
garage, yeah.
Dr. Campbell, is there a deck?
There
Yes,
is-
in the back.
In the
Yes,
back?
there's a deck in the rear. We can go back to the
can go
architectural
to-
plan. It's kind of tucked between the shul and the home, adjacent to the kitchen. Sorry, Anthony, if I could trouble you to go to page Z3 of the architectural set. Of the architectural
Shows
set,
the
please.
deck in the back.
No, the other set, if you don't mind, the architectural set. Yeah, that's right. Right over here. That's the deck.
And that would be used for the residents primarily, right?
Only, yeah.
Okay.
Quick question. What was the total occupancy for the whole building? Let's say if you had a bar mitzvah or something going on. So I know you have the 2 levels.
I'm just going to do some math. Right. So between the main sanctuary and the ladies section, we have 247 people. We calculated for a non-simultaneous use, pardon me, for a simultaneous use. So that I said it right the first time, non-simultaneous use, so that the main sanctuary and the ladies section would not be used at the same time as the bar mitzvah hall or the kiddush room is occupied. So it would be the same occupants from upstairs who would then go filter down to the basement.
So if you have a function going on the first floor, you're not going to have anybody up in the balcony area?
No, I combined the two. The balcony on the first floor would be combined for 247, but the basement would not be an additional
Okay.
occupant.
And you can verify that that won't happen?
Yes.
Well, it'll be stipulated.
Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion.
It wouldn't happen.
All right, I think we're finished with that witness. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. DeMarzo.
In our engineer's report, they just indicated about the exterior finishes of the building and how they're compatible with the surrounding area. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, we did a survey of the surrounding area. We feel that the architecture of the home definitely fits into the, you know, to the homes in the area. The shul being that it is a house of worship, we wanted it to look like a house of worship. So we feel that it is architecturally compatible with the surroundings.
Very nice. Very nice. Anything from the professionals?
I got one. In looking at the plans, I just want to make sure. So the rabbi's aqua room, how would the rabbi get to the aqua room?
Sure. There's ramp access that goes down to the basement. This is right here. That connects to, Anthony, sorry if we can shift back one page, please. Thank you. Into this vestibule, and that leads him into the main, into this doorway right here, down the hallway. And that would be this is the residential portion of the basement.
All the elevators.
So if he's in his house and it's snowing and he needs aqua, he'd have to go outside and then back in.
Yeah, we discussed this, you know, with the rabbi and the congregants, and we felt that this was the most viable solution.
He could go
Additionally,
through the sanctuary.
so this is only,
The elevator.
the ramp would only be used, my apologies, on a Saturday. During the week, there is elevator access to the basement.
And then the garage, what was termed a garage is really just storage, correct?
Storage.
There's no driveway access to
No.
the garage. Thank you.
Regarding the outside deck, I mean, maybe this is just for the rabbi's privacy that it's not there, but shouldn't there, yes, be a door going from the main sanctuary to the deck if need be for egress? Or, you know, it's always good to have. Was that done for privacy purposes?
If
for
the
rabbi?
congregation and the rabbi choose so, there's no code issues with adding a door from the deck to the main sanctuary, so that can easily be added.
It might be a safety feature to have a second egress.
Sure, we have that second egress on the south side of the plan as well, but we would be happy to add a third egress out of the main sanctuary with pleasure.
Mr. Heller, is that what you have in mind? Thank you. All right. Any other questions for this witness? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so unfortunately,
So we see.
our traffic engineer didn't make it. His partner, Scott, who was supposed to be here this evening, had an issue this morning, and he was not able to make it to the meeting. John was trying to get himself here. He is in Belmar, and he's still in Belmar. He just texted me and said, not going to happen. We just took a break, and I have not been cross-examined yet. So with that, unfortunately, maybe if we could open it to the public and get some public comment while they're here.
That would be great. And also, while we're listening to the public, maybe Ms. Morris can look at this calendar and see what looks good. We'll open it for public comment now.
This will be cross-examination of any experts that have been presented. Wait, who are you again?
Ed Bannon, 22 Abercorn Court.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
What would the capacity be on the deck, in the back?
That's a great question. I don't have that number offhand, but I can grab it for you.
Yeah.
Ed Bannon, B-A-N-N-O-N.
You're so quiet, I forget you were there.
You should know his name by now, I think.
45 persons.
Okay. And just to put it on the record, I see there's ample parking, but I just want to make sure there's not going to be any overflow parking out on Brewers Bridge.
We were sort of holding all that for the traffic engineer, but good to put it on the record.
The parking supply is sufficient, and the plans will be revised to make sure that there is sufficient supply, and there will be no need to have overflow on Brewers Bridge.
Thank you.
Need isn't the issue. The issue is we will be requesting no parking signs along the whole of the area, as well as on your interior roadway.
The applicant would be willing to
Stipulate that.
stipulate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Bannon. Good question. Anyone else from the public who would like to speak on this very beautiful project?
Second, Bernstein.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, we will look forward to seeing you again, we hope soon.
Well, we need,
but
yeah,
we're
we'll need a
busy.
date so we can carry without notice.
We'll look. So I can put it on my paperwork.
If you'd like to take a look at the agenda, see what everything's on there, so. Could possibly finish maybe July 1st. If not, we have an opening on August 19th.
July
Take
1st?
July 1st.
Well, we have a very large application, which you know, it's yours.
It's yours.
Before that.
However,
So-
we're only hearing the traffic engineer, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't, with any
So-
luck, although I have about 16 questions for the traffic engineer. If that's okay with you, and if we don't get to it, then it'll be August.
No, yeah, we'll take the July
We'll do our
1st.
best, and you'll move along your first application. Oh, that
Swimmingly,
will be-
yes.
That will be wonderful.
Okay.
All right.
Just for clarification, though, I don't need to bring back the witnesses because now they've been subject to cross-examination, so the only one we need
They're
is
fine. There's
Mr. Ray.
nobody-
They're fine, there's been cross-examination. The next cross-examination would only be for the traffic engineer.
Terrific.
Good.
Oh,
Of course, Ashley.
I just want to make sure, are you proposing any like construction trailers, things like that during construction of the building?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, will there be any construction trailers on site, or is it?
No, not for the site plan, no.
Good question.
And will the site be irrigated?
There will be a well for
Okay.
irrigation.
And then just to confirm, just to clarify my misunderstanding, so I think you're seeking bulk variances for what I'm going to call all of the lot-related items, and then bulk variances for the pool and garage? That's what you're seeking now?
Correct.
Okay.
The existing.
Yeah, the existing pool and garage. Okay. That's it.
That's good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
the
Thank
applicant
you.
the applicant waives time of decision?
Yes, till July 2nd.
And we have to vote.
We have to vote on moving that to July 1st. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then it passes. Thank you.
Can I make a motion to close?
Very nice, Mr. Bernstein, very nice.
Motion to close.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Good
Aye.
job,
Have a good
folks.
night.
Thank you, everyone. It was very good. It was a good night. Good questions. Oh, I'm holding. I'm not pleased with the traffic situation.